Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 1451. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he stared at Fa Nu, who had his body pierced through. An expert from the Vajra sect was actually much more powerful compared to ordinary experts from the Sacred Sun sect. Seems like the inheritance of the Eastern Tomb was truly extraordinary. Naturally, Fa Nu was the Vajra saint child and was naturally extraordinary. But if he was compared to the saint children of the Sacred Sun sect, he would definitely be inferior. Qin Wentian's expression didn't change much. However, Feng Qianxue and Feng Zhu, who were behind him, were deeply shocked. Using his own strength to kill 3 mid-stage immortal kings from the Sacred Sun sect, as well as the Vajra saint child Fa Nu from the Vajra sect. This Qin Wentian's combat prowess was simply terrifying. What's wrong? Turning around, Qin Wentian asked in a low voice when he saw the gazes of the two of them. Brother Qin, don't you feel that you are a little too demon level? Feng Zhu sighed. Is that so? Qin Wentian laughed. However, Brother Qin might be in trouble. The Vajra sect is still fine, but the Sacred Sun sect is a peak power. You killed 3 mid-stage immortal kings from their sect, and would surely infuriate the Sacred Sun sect. There would surely be stronger experts acting to deal with Brother Qin. Feng Zhu reminded. Brother Qin can use the mask and robes we forged earlier. There's no rush. Let's settle the matter in the Eastern Tomb first before changing our appearances. As for the enmity with the Sacred Sun sect, there's no harm in killing a few more of them. I've even killed saint children before, there's no big deal. Qin Wentian casually spoke, causing Feng Qianxue and Feng Zhu to be speechless. He even killed saint children from the Sacred Sun sect? In addition, Qin Wentian actually said it in such a casual manner. This simply caused them to be speechless. This was simply too arrogant and crazy. He simply didn't have the Sacred Sun sect in his eyes at all. Brother Qin is an extraordinary character. It's just that I'm a little curious. Who exactly is it that made Brother Qin need to hide his identity? Feng Zhu asked. There are many immortal emperors who want to kill me. There's no solution to it, my current strength is still very weak. After I exit this place, I will need to conceal my identity and roam the immortal realms. Also, it's best for you guys to leave the Eastern Tomb Immortal City. I'm worried that there might be people who saw my footprints and would chase me here. Although the possibility isn't high, it's still better to be careful. Qin Wentian. Both of them nodded. They could vaguely sense that the person who wanted to kill Qin Wentian must be an extraordinary figure. There was a high possibility that a peak power like the Sacred Sun sect was chasing after him. He had said that there were many immortal emperors who wanted to kill him. The Black Metal Emperor sect is forced to disband. I wonder if the sect leader would be able to withstand the attacks of so many immortal emperors. This time they have offended the Sacred Sun sect and the Thunder God Hall. They naturally can't remain in the Eastern Tomb Immortal City. Feng Qianxue spoke, let's leave quickly. I've entered the Eastern Tomb sacred ground once before. I'll bring you guys to the true Eastern Tomb now. Alright. Qin Wentian nodded. The Eastern Tomb was left behind by a saint. It was naturally extraordinary. The 4 hegemonic powers of the Eastern Tomb had some similarities with his own cultivation Tao. If there was a good opportunity, he might as well use it to gain some insights. Feng Qianxue had entered the Eastern Tomb many years ago, and was naturally familiar with the Holy Book. The previous time the Eastern Tomb opened, it was because of the circumstances. This time around it's different. The Eastern Tomb forcefully opened. The inheritance might be severed from now on. The Eastern Tomb no longer belongs to the 4 hegemonic powers. It belongs to the person who obtained the inheritance this time around. In other words, the Eastern Tomb will cease to exist. Feng Qianxue sighed. Her speed was extremely fast. Following the ancient pathway, and on the way, she met with many experts. All of them were experts who rushed here from the Eastern Tomb Immortal City. The Black Metal Sword Emperor told everyone in the Immortal City to come to the Eastern Tomb. How could the experts of the Immortal City miss out on such an opportunity? All of them rushed to the Eastern Tomb. Rumble at this moment. The ancient pathway trembled as the Eastern Tomb became unstable. Numerous black cracks appeared in the air, exuding a terrifying tearing intent. It felt like doomsday had arrived. After that, everyone quickened their speed, advancing forward. When they saw such a scene, how could they not understand what this indicated? The Eastern Tomb is unstable. It's about to collapse. We have to hurry. Feng Qianxue spoke. Although she knew that the eastern tomb wasn't stable and forcefully opening it would cause the inheritance to vanish, she didn't expect it to happen so quickly. Let me lead the way. Qin Wentian spoke. His hands held onto Feng Qianxue and Feng Zhu as they moved with lightning speed, allowing Feng Qianxue to lead the way. As time flowed by, more and more black cracks appeared in the air as the tremors intensified. Finally, Qin Wentian and the others saw the silhouettes of many experts appearing before the true Eastern tomb. Over there were numerous mausoleums, and before each of the mausoleums, there was a stone monument that exuded an unfathomable aura, containing boundless mysteries within. In front of the Eastern tomb, a page of heavenly book floated in the air. The heavenly book trembled as it fluctuated, exuding boundless mysteries. This was none other than the holy book of the Eastern tomb. Seems like the three great sects of the Eastern tomb are leading the way. Many experts already know the direction and came here. Feng Qianxue spoke. The experts from the Sacred Sun sect and Thunder God Hall stood at the forefront, as well as the Sky Bell cult and Vajra sect. Other than them, many immortal kings from the Eastern Tomb Immortal City had also arrived here. You are actually still alive? A cold voice rang out. An expert from the Sacred Sun sect glanced at Qin Wentian and the others as his gaze turned incomparably sharp. These three people were still alive while the three experts from the Sacred Sun sect had vanished. Where's Fa Nu? An expert from the Vajra sect turned and stared at Qin Wentian as he asked. They wanted to kill a few of us. Now where do you think they are? Qin Wentian coldly replied, his words causing a terrifying killing intent to flash in the eyes of the experts. Qin Wentian's aura gushed forth as he directly took out the demon's sword, preparing for battle. Stay your hand! That expert from the Sacred Sun sect roared. He turned his head and coldly glanced at Qin Wentian. After that, he spoke to his subordinates. You guys want to speed up the collapse of the Eastern tomb, right? The heavenly book is trembling. There's not much time left. If anyone dares to fight here, kill them all without mercy. As the sound of his voice faded, the experts from the Sacred Sun sect and Vajra sect retracted their auras. However, their eyes were incomparably cold as they stared at Qin Wentian and the others. We will let you guys live a little longer. Clearly, if it wasn't for the fact that the Eastern tomb was unstable, they would have already acted. After this matter was concluded, they would definitely act to kill Qin Wentian and the others. The heavenly book is right before your eyes. Yet you guys don't even bother to comprehend it. Instead, you guys are wasting your time here. Qin Wentian mocked. The heavenly book is mysterious and unfathomable. The sage wills left behind by the stone monuments are all incomparably tyrannical and profound. Not everyone would be able to comprehend them. Many people wouldn't even be able to comprehend them. Even if they came here, it would be a waste of time. Feng Qianxue spoke. The expressions of those people froze as they stared at Feng Qianxue. This was mocking them for not being able to comprehend the mysteries of the heavenly book and the stone monuments. No matter how much you comprehend, you will die here. Hence, there's no need for you guys to comprehend them. That expert replied, not concealing his killing intent at all. No matter what, he had to kill Qin Wentian and the others. But at this moment, Qin Wentian didn't seem to have heard his words. He walked towards the tombs and stared at the stone monuments. It's said that the mysteries contained within the stone monuments are the sage wills. The people of the Eastern tomb all have different levels of comprehension towards the heavenly book. But for the sage wills, there's almost no one who can comprehend them. Even for sect leaders, they might only be able to comprehend one or two of the mysteries. It's extremely difficult. Feng Qianxue transmitted her voice to Qin Wentian. Although she had insulted the people of the Sacred Sun sect earlier, she also understood that the holy book was extremely difficult to comprehend. The Eastern tomb has never risen to become a peak power. Other than being suppressed by some of the peak powers in the central regions, it was also because no one could truly comprehend the mysteries of the Eastern tomb. Qin Wentian nodded silently. He naturally understood how difficult it was. His gaze landed on a stone monument in front of a tomb. On it there was a small pagoda. This pagoda was extremely small, about the size of a thumb. But when Qin Wentian immersed his consciousness into it, he felt as though his mind was about to explode. With a groan of misery, He retreated repeatedly as a majestic scene appeared in his mind. The small pagoda was still the size of a thumb, but it exuded the mysteries of heaven's suppression. Qin Wentian felt a supreme suppressive might gushing over, wanting to shatter the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian's immortal sense wasn't willing to retreat. He groaned in misery as blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He finally understood why these people still had the time to find trouble with him. So it turned out that some people didn't even have the qualifications to comprehend the mysteries of the Eastern Tomb. Brother Qin. Feng Zhu's expression froze when he saw this. Even someone with extraordinary talent like Qin Wentian couldn't endure it? Brother Qin, you can sense the holy will? Feng Qianxue had a look of shock on her face as she stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian glanced at Feng Qianxue. That small pagoda contains the mysteries of heaven's suppression. Its boundless might that can't be resisted. Feng Qianxue drew in a deep breath. Brother Qin, you have a chance to truly comprehend 20% of the holy will, just like the sect leader of the Eastern Tomb. It's extremely rare for someone to be able to sense the holy will the first time. Take a look at the other stone monuments. Right? Qin Wentian nodded. His gaze turned to another stone monument. There was a small golden bell there. When Qin Wentian focused his attention on it, he only felt his eardrums trembling violently as though the music of the great Tao was ringing out. He let out a thunderous roar, wanting to resist that energy. A violent aura swept through the surroundings, causing many people to turn their gazes over as they coldly stared at Qin Wentian. I can comprehend it. Feng Qianxue's beautiful eyes gleamed with a bright light. Let's take a look at the other stone monuments. Qin Wentian glanced at another stone monument. There seemed to be only a single word engraved there, Vajra Buddhist sect. However, Qin Wentian could see the great Tao of the Buddhist sect within it, causing his body to tremble so much that it felt as though his body was about to shatter. He didn't stop, he turned his attention to a thin branch. After a moment of concentration, that branch was like a supreme sword, casually slicing through space, causing the heavens and earth to split apart. Qin Wentian also unleashed his sword intent. Yet he was so weak that he couldn't defend against it. He was directly forced out of the stone monument. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat. In that instant it felt as though he was cleaved into two. What a powerful holy will. Qin Wentian's heart trembled, but Feng Qianxue who was beside him was even more shocked. Qin Wentian was actually able to sense the holy will of the stone monument so easily. The first step of comprehension was to sense it. If you couldn't even sense it, how could you talk about comprehending it? Chapter 1452. In the air more and more black cracks appeared. The tremors of the Eastern Tomb grew more and more intense, as though it would collapse at any moment. Qin Wentian inclined his head, feeling somewhat anxious in his heart. The holy will contained within these stone tablets was extremely terrifying. He wanted to comprehend it, but time wouldn't wait for him. The Eastern Tomb was about to collapse. It would be extremely difficult to even comprehend a single stone tablet, let alone when there were so many of them here. He turned his gaze to Feng Qianxue only to see Feng Qianxue looking at Qin Wentian. Quickly comprehend the holy book. Many experts of my black metal sword sect have entered the Eastern Tomb before. Comprehending the holy book and comprehending the holy will. The holy book contains the truths of the great Tao, while the holy will contains the will of the sages. The holy book is able to aid one in comprehending the holy will of the stone tablets. Brother Qin, quickly, there isn't much time left. Feng Zhu inclined his head and stared at the air as he spoke to Qin Wentian. He hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to comprehend more and grow stronger. Right. Qin Wentian nodded. He turned his gaze towards the holy book and stepped out. Many experts stood there, bathing in the radiance of the holy book, receiving the baptism of the holy book. It was as though they were listening to the great Tao of the holy book, comprehending the boundless mysteries within. When Qin Wentian's immortal sense gushed into the holy book, a rumbling sound rang out in his mind. After that, boundless profundities gushed into his mind as countless scenes appeared. It was like the creation of the heavens and earth. The laws of the myriad of existences appeared. These scenes were extremely majestic, containing the truths of the heavenly Tao, impossible to fathom. Qin Wentian immersed himself within, Feeling the Tao of the Sages. A great Tao of runes. The myriad of existences were runes. The runes could transform into the myriad of existences. It seemed to be able to harmonize with the heavenly talisman treasure tome. Within it, there were even the truths of the great Tao. 1 begets 2, 2 begets 3, 3 begets the myriad of existences. Everything returns to 1. The great Tao is the simplest. Qin Wentian meticulously comprehended the power of the Holy Book. Bathing in the radiance of the Holy Book, boundless runic light radiated from his body, enveloping him. As expected, Feng Qianxue stared at Qin Wentian. Before this, she was already surprised why Qin Wentian was able to sense the will of the sage so easily. Also, he even observed her forging. So it turned out that he also cultivated a similar type of energy, very similar to the immortal king path of the Eastern Tomb. Naturally, the great Taoists originated from the same source. The paths of stellar martial cultivators were essentially the same. Qin Wentian bathed in the Holy Book and comprehended for a long time. After that, he looked at the stone tablet again. He looked at the small pagoda stone tablet and his body trembled. The runes in his body flowed unceasingly and interweaved in a frenzy, about to transform into a pagoda. However, after a period of time, Qin Wentian was once again jolted out. He groaned in misery as he stabilized his state of mind. The power of the bloodline in his body surged as he continued to comprehend. It was as though this little tribulation wouldn't be able to shake him. What is he doing? Someone turned his gaze to Qin Wentian. There were many people here who couldn't comprehend anything. There was no reaction from their bodies. Qin Wentian's body radiated resplendent law light as runes flashed. There were even rumbling sounds ringing out from his body. The commotion was very great and attracted many gazes. I have no idea. It seems like he can comprehend the stone tablet. Someone spoke. Just putting on an act. Do you think he can comprehend the holy will of the stone tablet? A mocking voice rang out. It was an expert from the Skybell cult. He knew very well how difficult it was to comprehend the holy will within the stone tablet. Although there were many experts here who entered the Eastern Tomb, there weren't many who could obtain the inheritance of the Eastern Tomb. As for those who could comprehend the holy will, it was even rarer, almost non-existent. If you can't comprehend it yourself, what qualifications do you have to say that others can't? Feng Zhu coldly replied. Earlier he tried but failed to comprehend the holy will. However, he was already filled with admiration for Qin Wentian's talent. Also, he personally witnessed Qin Wentian comprehending the holy will. He naturally couldn't stand the insults of these people. It's fine if you are useless, but you should know how to admire others. You are someone from the Black Metal Emperor sect, right? Since you are a disciple of the Black Metal Emperor sect, you should naturally understand what this stone tablet is. This is the holy will, the holy will. Do you think anyone can comprehend it? That expert from the Skybell cult mocked. I told you to persuade him to stop wasting his effort. If he is faking it, there's no meaning for him to do so. The people from the Black Metal Emperor sect are actually so ignorant. How ridiculous. An expert from the Divine Inscriptions Palace also mocked. These people couldn't sense the holy will, and felt extremely unhappy in their hearts. When they saw so many people talking about Qin Wentian, they naturally felt even more unhappy. This was especially so when Qin Wentian was their enemy. In addition, the holy will was extremely difficult to comprehend. They originally couldn't even comprehend it. Hence, they arrogantly assumed that Qin Wentian was the same as them. They didn't believe that Qin Wentian had an extraordinary ability that was completely different from them. You guys, Feng Zhu was so angered that he was speechless. He stared at these experts. All of them seemed to be extremely arrogant, but in truth, they were all people who couldn't comprehend the holy will. Using arrogance to mask their incompetence, they even wanted to use this opportunity to mock others. Big brother, why must you argue with them? How would these lowly characters know the capabilities of the Kuanpeng? Feng Qianxue calmly replied. An expert stepped out, exuding a towering aura. Feng Qianxue's expression was cold as she similarly released her aura. If you want to hasten the collapse of the Eastern Tomb, you guys can start a war then. Naturally, you people have no way to comprehend anything. Most probably, you want nothing more than to cause the Eastern Tomb to collapse faster. Feng Qianxue, I will let you be arrogant for a while longer. Those people coldly laughed, staring at Feng Qianshua's beautiful face as an evil gleam flickered in their eyes. This woman, they had to teach her a lesson. Qianshua, the inheritance of the Eastern Tomb is about to be severed. There's not much time left. There's no need for you to argue with them. Just quickly comprehend the holy book. Feng Zhu spoke. His talent was the weakest. He was acting as a protector for Qin Wentian and Feng Qianshua. Feng Qianshua nodded, glancing at Qin Wentian. After that, her beautiful eyes turned to the holy book as her immortal sense gushed out. Rumble, the sky rumbled as a black bolt of lightning slammed into the ground. The Eastern Tomb trembled even more violently, as though it would collapse at any moment. Many experts focused their attention, not daring to waste any time. Those from the Eastern Tomb were all staring at the holy book, trying to comprehend the boundless profoundness within. Even if they could only comprehend a trace of it, they wouldn't want to miss out on this final opportunity. At this moment, the light radiating from Qin Wentian was terrifying. The commotion in his body was extremely great, howling unceasingly. Millions of runic light converged into the form of a small pagoda, yet it was still difficult for it to display that heaven-suppressing might. The power contained within the Saint Will was none other than the great Tao of runes. One's attainments in the Saint Will was extremely high, transforming the runes into laws, transforming the laws into the great Tao. Boundless runic energy could transform into the Saint Will, transforming into the Tao, infusing it into the small pagoda. This was the Saint Will, containing boundless might. After a long time, Qin Wentian comprehended many things. He coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood and retreated from the pagoda, resting for a moment. When he saw that the collapse of the Eastern Tomb was accelerating, he started to comprehend the Vajra Holy Will. This Vajra Holy Will was similar to the Saint Will of the pagoda he comprehended earlier. As Qin Wentian comprehended more, boundless Buddhic light radiated from him. It was as though there were countless Vajra runes circulating around him, infusing into him, tempering his body. His entire person was about to condense a Vajra Dharma body, causing many people to have strange looks on their faces. Qi! A roar rang out as a surge of energy shot towards Qin Wentian. Feng Zhu blocked in front of him and lifted his hands to attack. However, the sound of the roar still rang out, jolting Qin Wentian awake. He retreated repeatedly and coughed out a mouthful of blood. He inclined his head and stared at the person who shouted as killing intent flashed in his eyes. This person actually dared to interrupt his comprehension. You actually managed to comprehend a trace of the Saint Will. However, I advise you not to waste time. Even if you truly comprehended the Saint Will, it would be hard for you to escape death. That person coldly spoke. He was an expert from the Vajra sect. When he saw Qin Wentian comprehending a trace of the Saint Will of the Vajra sect, he bluntly interrupted. Why? Are you unhappy and want to fight? That expert from the Vajra sect coldly snorted. I will naturally do as you wish. However, this isn't the time. When we can fight, you will already be a dead man. Qin Wentian stared at that person as he icily spoke. Fa Nu has already been killed by me. If you dare to antagonize me again, even if the Eastern Tomb is about to collapse, I will still kill you. Since you don't care about the consequences, I won't be calculative as well. His threatening voice drifted into the ears of that person, causing the expression of that person to turn even more unsightly. Qin Wentian ignored the expression of that person and continued to comprehend the Saint Will. This Saint Will was like a sword intent that contained boundless might, able to slash apart the heavens and earth. As he sank into it, Qin Wentian once again focused on his comprehension, not wanting to waste even the slightest bit of sound. Within his body, boundless runic light flowed, transforming into a sharp sword that exuded boundless might. Sword intent gushed forth from him. As time flowed by, the sword intent in his body grew stronger and stronger. It was like a river of swords, unceasingly gushing forth, terrifying to the extreme. However, Qin Wentian wasn't satisfied. This wasn't a qualitative change, it was still the same sword intent as before. This time around, Qin Wentian took the longest time to comprehend it. The number of black cracks in the sky increased unceasingly, and the possibility of the Eastern Tomb collapsing continued to rise. Sigh. An expert from the Sky Bell cult gave up. He couldn't comprehend it and the Eastern Tomb was about to collapse. This inheritance had no meaning to him. At this moment, whistling sounds rang out. Numerous gazes turned over, staring in the direction of Qin Wentian. That expert from the Skybell cult who was sighing coldly mocked. You truly have no self-awareness. Things have already reached this stage, why are you still persisting? There's no use at all. Right now he's under immense pressure. Why don't we kill him directly to avoid trouble? An expert from the Divine Inscriptions Palace spoke. But at this moment, the boundless sword might instantly vanished from Qin Wentian's body. Within Qin Wentian's body, a tiny sword could be seen swimming about, as soft as a willow twig. Have you finally given up? You took so long to give up. What a waste of time. The Holy Will is extremely difficult to comprehend. How can it be something you can accomplish? The experts from the three major powers all spoke when they saw Qin Wentian finally giving up. How noisy. Qin Wentian abruptly opened his eyes. His gaze was like the sharpest sword in the world, directly penetrating through the eyes of the person who spoke. That person screamed in agony as a beam of sword intent gushed forth, disappearing in an instant. That expert groaned in misery as he collapsed to the ground. Chapter 1453. The experts who spoke all had shock in their eyes as they stared at the figure lying on the ground. A hole could be seen in the center of that person's brows, pierced through by a sharp sword. He died instantly, killed in a single strike. However, how could this be possible? How did Qin Wentian accomplish this? Earlier at that instant, they felt a terrifying sword intent flashing by, faster than lightning. Inclining their heads, they stared at Qin Wentian only to see that around Qin Wentian, the boundless sword might gathered once more. The sword intent towered up into the sky, akin to a destructive sword river. The sword river contained all sorts of attribute energies, and what was even more terrifying was that there was actually a tiny sword swimming about within it. It was so tiny that it was almost invisible and incomparably soft, resembling a willow branch at the same time. This sword was simply too small, completely inconspicuous in the midst of the torrential sword river. However, at this moment, all the sword intent and sword might actually gushed into it, transforming into boundless runic light that eventually coalesced into this tiny sword. It swam about in the sword river, resembling a willow leaf in the wind. The tiny sword emitted sizzling sounds. After that, it swam about Qin Wentian, absorbing the runic light from his body. Qin Wentian's gaze was terrifying, penetrating through everything, staring at everyone. His gaze was like a sharp sword, Saint sword intent. At the side, Feng Qianxue opened her eyes. Her beautiful eyes gleamed with a startling light. The holy will that many experts of the Eastern Tomb faction couldn't comprehend was easily comprehended by Qin Wentian. He could sense it with a single glance. Even the sect leaders of the four great sects of the Eastern Tomb faction found it hard to comprehend. Yet, Qin Wentian actually managed to comprehend a trace of holy will in such a short period of time. Her eyes gleamed with sharpness as she stared at the small sword circulating around Qin Wentian's body. This small sword was as small as a willow leaf, almost invisible to the naked eye. However, she understood how difficult it was to condense this small sword. Qin Wentian fused his boundless sword intent and all sorts of energy into this Tao, forming this small sword. This was the holy will of their Eastern Tomb faction. Even though Qin Wentian had only comprehended a wisp of holy decree, its power was still absolutely shocking, and it could instantly increase his attack power. All of you are unable to comprehend anything on your own, yet you disturb me here and speak rudely. You are simply shameless. Qin Wentian stared at the experts before him. Right now he was like a sharp sword, incomparably sharp. He stared at the expert from the Divine Inscriptions Palace and spoke, "You are the one who wants to kill me while I'm cultivating." The expression of that expert from the Divine Inscriptions Palace stiffened. He was at the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm, and might not be able to defend against Qin Wentian's attacks. This was especially so after Qin Wentian's earlier attack was simply too dazzling, causing him to feel an intense sense of threat. Before this, he saw that Qin Wentian was comprehending the holy will, and had comprehended some insights. Hence, he felt some jealousy and wanted to take the opportunity to kill Qin Wentian. But now, Qin Wentian wanted to settle the debt with him. Why? You want to start a war? That immortal king from the divine inscriptions palace arrogantly spoke. No matter what, he was an immortal king. Even if he had any thoughts in his heart, he could still conceal them, pretending to be fearless and domineering. We have so many experts here, it's extremely easy for us to kill you. If it wasn't for the fact that we are worried about the Eastern Tomb collapsing, you would already be a dead man. If you don't care about the destruction of the Eastern Tomb and want to start a war, we would definitely kill you instantly. That immortal king from the divine inscriptions palace coldly laughed, instantly pulling all the experts around him to his side. If I start a war with you, how would the Eastern Tomb be affected? You overestimate yourself too much. It's extremely easy for me to kill you. Naturally, if there are others who don't care about the destruction of the Eastern Tomb and want to deal with me, that would have nothing to do with me. Qin Wentian stepped out. In an instant, a boundless sword chi river gushed forth, gushing towards that immortal king from the divine inscriptions palace. In just an instant, the sword chi river blotted out the sky and was incomparably precise. The sword might was perfectly controlled, not leaking out at all as it directly shot towards that immortal king from the divine inscriptions palace. That immortal king roared. Runic light radiated from him, transforming into a gigantic ancient cauldron that blocked before him, allowing the boundless sword chi river to rush over. Die! Qin Wentian waved his hands as the tiny sword slashed out like a willow leaf. It was light as a feather descending from the skies. In an instant the ancient cauldron shattered, and in the next instant, the violent energy dissipated. The body of that expert from the divine inscriptions palace was directly slashed apart, dead. The sword intent still remained, bringing with it a towering sword chi river that revolved around Qin Wentian. The short battle ended in an instant, but it didn't cause too much damage to the Eastern Tomb. The other experts all had expressions of trepidation on their faces when they saw this scene. As expected of the Holy Will. How terrifying, it was actually so tyrannical. However, Qin Wentian didn't give up just like that. He turned his gaze to an immortal king from the Vajra sect. Earlier, that immortal king threatened him, telling him not to waste time. Even if he managed to comprehend a tiny bit of the Holy Will, only death would await him. Earlier, you forcefully interrupted my cultivation, saying that when we can fight, I would be a dead man? Qin Wentian stared at that immortal king from the Vajra sect as he spoke, his words causing that immortal king to frown, feeling some worry in his heart. Earlier, he saw how powerful Qin Wentian's attack was. That immortal king from the divine inscriptions palace was killed with a single strike, and now it seemed like Qin Wentian wanted to act against him. No matter what my ending is, whether I manage to comprehend a tiny bit of the Holy Will or not, I would still die. You won't be able to see it. As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, his silhouette moved like lightning. This was none other than the movement technique of a great rock. Die! With a single word, that strand of holy sword intent directly slashed out. That immortal king from the Vajra sect roared, but it was too late. The sword intent slashed down, slicing him into two. Qin Wentian's palm slammed into his opponent's body, directly taking away his interspatial ring. How dare you! Many experts from the Vajra sect roared in anger when they saw this scene. Killing someone to steal their interspatial ring? Not only that, the person was someone from their Vajra sect. This was simply too impudent. I'm indeed impudent. Qin Wentian glanced at them. The little sword hummed as it revolved around him. I've already comprehended a strand of Holy Will. I've said it before, if I act, it won't affect the stability of the Eastern Tomb. But if you guys don't care about the collapse of the Eastern Tomb, I don't care about it as well. Do you know that by doing this you are forming a death grudge with my Vajra sect? An expert glared at Qin Wentian, his eyes resembling the eyes of a Vajra. His voice was so loud that the eardrums of many in the surroundings were buzzing. What a joke! Your Vajra sect has already tried to kill me several times. Why are you saying that I want to form a death grudge with your Vajra sect? When you kill me, have you not thought of the fact that you are forming a death grudge with me? Qin Wentian laughed. He then spoke arrogantly, let me warn you guys. In the future, if I hear anyone pointing fingers at me or saying that they want to kill me or cripple me, I will definitely start a massacre. I don't care if the Eastern Tomb collapses. After speaking, Qin Wentian returned to his original location, no longer looking at them. Those experts all turned ashen. They didn't expect this man to be so brazen, not having them in his eyes at all. Before the Holy Book and the stone monument, several peak-stage immortal kings frowned when they heard Qin Wentian's words. However, they didn't do anything and continued to comprehend in silence. Even if they could only comprehend a strand of it, they mustn't miss out on this opportunity. The matter regarding Qin Wentian was temporarily put aside. As long as he dared to continue comprehending in the Eastern Tomb, he would be a dead man sooner or later, unable to escape even if he grew wings. The commotion in the Eastern Tomb grew even more intense. More and more cracks appeared in the sky as the Eastern Tomb trembled. Everyone knew that the Eastern Tomb was on the verge of collapse and could be destroyed at any moment. Hence, as long as they could comprehend something, they would make full use of every second they had. Boom! A crack actually appeared beside one of the tombs, almost causing the stone monument to be affected. Qin Wentian would occasionally contemplate the Holy Book, occasionally staring at the stone monument. His aura was no longer as resplendent as before, but that strand of sage sword intent still revolved around him, exuding a powerful pressure. This caused those immortal kings who wanted to kill him to feel trepidation, no longer daring to antagonize Qin Wentian. A thunderous boom rang out as a bolt of black lightning shot out from one of the black cracks, slamming into a stone monument. That stone monument exploded, no longer complete. The sage sword intent dissipated, causing the immortal kings who were comprehending the stone monument to sigh. Did it actually vanish just like that? Qin Wentian quietly comprehended. The 7 astral souls in his body protected his Yuanfu, revolving around him. Right now, his astral souls and constellations were all formed from his perfect immortal foundation. Right now, his astral souls and constellations were even more translucent and flawless. If he unleashed them, they would surely be extremely shocking. At this moment, the flow of boundless law energy was converging unceasingly, transforming into sword intent. It was like the convergence of boundless law energy, interweaving with countless runic inscriptions, transforming into a formation before finally condensing into a terrifying sword-type constellation. A fearsome sword intent radiated forth as boundless law energy converged, transforming into a small sword that shot out, revolving around Qin Wentian. 2 tiny swords revolved around Qin Wentian, circulating unceasingly. This caused the hearts of those who saw this scene to tremble incomparably. A second strand of holy will was condensed? Wasn't Qin Wentian a little too terrifying? Feng Zhu drew in a deep breath, feeling incomparably shocked. When some of the enemy experts saw this scene, their countenances turned ashen, extremely unsightly to behold. It was extremely difficult to form a sage will. Being able to comprehend a single strand of sage will was already considered extraordinary. However, Qin Wentian actually managed to comprehend 2 strands of sage will in such a short period of time. Right now, his attacks grew even stronger and was even more difficult to antagonize. His strength would definitely be terrifying. With an intention of his will, Qin Wentian dissipated the 2 strands of sage will, transforming into boundless sword light that cleansed his body. He gave up on that stone monument and turned his gaze towards the other stone monument, the one with the tiny pagoda. The Eastern Tomb trembled. One of the stone monuments had already been destroyed. He had already comprehended the sage intent of sword-type sage, and could continue to comprehend it in the future. But for the other stone monuments, he had to borrow the sage intent here to comprehend them. If not, if he had to depend on himself, the difficulty would be a million times higher. This tiny pagoda contained a suppressive energy that was compatible with his attribute energy. He hoped that he would be able to comprehend the sage intent here. Chapter 1454. Qin Wentian had no distractions in his heart, making full use of his time to comprehend. But as the Eastern Tomb fell into chaos, some experts lost their patience. Some powerful immortal kings who had no knowledge of the Eastern Tomb spoke. Since the Eastern Tomb is about to collapse, why don't everyone just take the Holy Book away and move the stone steels away? I'll move one of the stone steels first. As the sound of his voice faded, he stepped towards one of the stone steels, causing the tomb to tremble violently. However, at this moment, the stone steel in front of the tomb suddenly radiated a terrifying holy will. A terrifying beam of light flashed by as that person screamed in agony. His head was directly penetrated as he collapsed to the ground, dying miserably. The people from the Eastern Tomb coldly laughed. If things were so simple, the Eastern Tomb would have long been emptied out. Would it even be his turn? Truly simple-minded, not knowing the immensity of death. As time flowed by, more and more people could no longer maintain their calmness. The chaotic currents of destruction gushed forth unceasingly as the Eastern Tomb continued to collapse. Only a few people were still able to calm their hearts and comprehend the Holy Will. All of them were experts who could comprehend a trace of the Holy Will. Even if it was very few, as long as they could comprehend a trace of it, it would definitely be beneficial to their cultivation. Qin Wentian continued to comprehend the holy will of the tiny pagoda. Boundless light circulated around him, resembling a pagoda. The great Tao was formless, it could transform into all forms. This was what Qin Wentian was comprehending. His body circulated with a suppressive light as a tiny pagoda appeared behind him. It was extremely small but contained a terrifying suppressive holy will, causing no one to be able to get close to him. Feng Qianxue woke up once more. She drew in a deep breath when she saw the transformation of Qin Wentian. At this moment, a thunderous boom rang out as the tomb containing the holy will of the tiny pagoda opened up. A moment later, a terrifying suppressive might radiated from the pagoda as a tiny pagoda flew out. Qin Wentian seemed to have comprehended something. With a wave of his hand, the tiny pagoda flew towards him. This pagoda seemed to be resonating with the holy will of the stone steel, containing the power within. Before this, the Black Metal Sword Emperor and the other sect leaders of the Eastern Tomb borrowed the power of the Eastern Tomb to summon divine weapons. Is this what I'm doing now? Qin Wentian stared at Feng Qianxue as he asked. A look of shock flashed in Feng Qianxue's eyes as she stared at Qin Wentian. She didn't expect that Qin Wentian could already accomplish something that only the sect leaders of the Eastern Tomb faction could do. But at this moment, Feng Qianxue had already gradually become numb, no longer finding it strange. Qin Wentian was a miracle, toppling everything she knew. Be it combat strength or talent, they were both terrifying to a shocking degree. It's rumored that this is a saint weapon, but it requires the support of holy wills to unleash its might. Without sufficient holy wills, it wouldn't be able to unleash its full potential. If the Eastern Tomb collapses, the power of this saint weapon would surely be greatly reduced. Feng Qianxue silently sighed. If the Eastern Tomb continued to exist, given Qin Wentian's talent, he might have a chance to establish another branch of the Eastern Tomb Immortal City. Qin Wentian nodded. The surroundings rumbled unceasingly. He glanced at the stone monuments as he sighed. What a pity, given how vast the immortal realms were. There were truly all sorts of mysteries. After all, through countless years, there were simply too many experts born in this world and there were too many secrets. This Eastern Tomb was one of them. There were also many other ancient ruins. Naturally, it was impossible for him to explore all of them. It was only because of a stroke of good fortune that he came to the Eastern Tomb Immortal City and witnessed the collapse of the Eastern Tomb. If not, he wouldn't even have heard of the things that happened in the Eastern Tomb. The Eastern Tomb is about to collapse. Brother Qin, there are many people here who want to kill you, including some peak-stage immortal kings. Once the Eastern Tomb collapses, they would surely not spare us. It's time for us to leave. Feng Qianxue transmitted her voice to Qin Wentian. The Black Metal Sword Emperor had already announced the dissolution of his sect. Their enemies were the Sacred Sun Sect, Thunder God Hall, Skybell Cult, Divine Inscriptions Palace and Vajra Sect. They had no way to contend against them. You are right. However, most of their attention is on me now. You guys should leave silently. I will stay behind to attract their attention. Qin Wentian replied, his words causing Feng Qianxue's beautiful eyes to flash with a strange light. She stared at Qin Wentian. No, you are alone. How can you contend against them? Wouldn't that be? You guys won't be of much help even if you stay behind. Why don't you leave now? I don't want to worry about you. If I'm alone, even if I can't defeat them, I can still flee for my life. Qianxue, stop arguing. Quickly leave with Feng Zhu. Qin Wentian seriously spoke. Feng Qianxue was speechless. Indeed, if a battle really broke out, not only would she and Feng Zhu be of no help, they would even become burdens that would affect Qin Wentian. Back then, it was precisely because of Qin Wentian's protection. If Qin Wentian was alone, things would be much simpler for killing La Wrath and the other experts from the Sacred Sun sect. Since this is the case, we shall part ways here. Brother Qin, take care. Feng Qianxue was after all a supreme immortal king and was extremely decisive. She knew that what Qin Wentian said was the truth. She immediately prepared to leave. Feng Zhu also spoke to Qin Wentian. Brother Qin, I hope that we will still be able to see your glory in the future. Let's meet again if fate wills it. The three of them transmitted their voices, not alerting the others. The gazes of many experts were all focused on the collapsed eastern tomb. Not many people noticed that Feng Qianxue and Feng Zhu were silently retreating. However, there were some who noticed Qin Wentian and the others. They were from the Sky Bell cult. However, they only saw Qin Wentian coldly glancing at them, causing them to shudder like cicadas in winter, not daring to say anything. When he thought of how ruthless Qin Wentian was earlier, he was afraid that Qin Wentian would be angered and act against him directly. So what if Feng Qianxue and Feng Zhu fled? But Qin Wentian would die for sure. As long as he didn't leave, everything would be fine. After Feng Qianxue and Feng Zhu left, Qin Wentian continued his cultivation, comprehending the holy will from the heavenly book. As to why he chose this stone monument, it was because the holy will contained the ability to refine one's body. Although martial cultivation focused on tyrannical attacks, one's physique was the foundation. Only with a powerful physique would one be able to contain tyrannical strength. Qin Wentian had always placed great importance on his physique. The sounds of explosions rang out unceasingly in the outside world. Qin Wentian had no distractions in his heart, comprehending alone. Even if the sky collapsed before him, his expression wouldn't change. As he comprehended, the golden light of the Buddha sect revolved around him. The boundless runes condensed into a Buddha Dharma idol that enveloped his body. Layers of golden light cascaded down from the air, cleansing Qin Wentian's body time and time again. As his comprehension deepened, ancient Buddhist characters appeared in the air, flowing through Qin Wentian's body. Gradually, his entire body was covered with countless ancient Buddhist characters, each containing a shocking amount of Buddhist energy. They frenziedly swept over Qin Wentian's body, causing terrifying rumbling sounds. Such a terrifying attack, if it wasn't for Qin Wentian's powerful physique, he would have been directly pierced through. However, Qin Wentian was actually borrowing this energy to refine his physique. Rumble. At this moment, an incomparably terrifying black hole appeared in the air. From within, a world-shaking destructive energy blasted out, directly blasting into the holy book. In just an instant, the resplendent light on the holy book gradually dimmed, no longer exuding its profoundness. It transformed into countless motes of light that dissipated from the world. The holy book has vanished. Everyone felt a sense of loss when they saw this scene. They had no way to comprehend the saint's will, and had to borrow the power of the holy book to do so. Now that the holy book had vanished, this meant that the inheritance of the eastern tomb had already collapsed. The rumbling destructive energy blasted down unceasingly, causing cracks to appear everywhere. The holy book has vanished, the inheritance of the eastern tomb has been destroyed. No one can comprehend the saint's will. Someone sighed. Is the inheritance of our eastern tomb severed from now on? Black Metal Sword Emperor, you are a sinner. An expert sighed. Look over there. At this moment, someone exclaimed in shock as he turned his gaze in the direction of Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was still cultivating. He could actually borrow the power of the holy book to comprehend it. He was bathed in the light of the Buddha sect's ancient characters, resembling a Buddha god. He seems to be comprehending the holy book. The experts of the Eastern Tomb Immortal City felt their hearts trembling. Who said that once the holy book dissipates, no one would be able to comprehend the holy will? Isn't he a human? An immortal king spoke, mocking the immortal king who spoke earlier. Seems like it still depends on talent. Someone spoke in a low voice. Boom! At this moment, the expert from the Eastern Tomb faction who spoke earlier stepped out. A heavenly bell descended, capable of shattering one's soul. With a wave of his hand, the ancient bell shot towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian seemed to have sensed something. His eyes abruptly opened, but he didn't do anything. The bell slammed into the golden Buddha body, causing a dazzling beam of light to erupt forth. A deafening boom rang out as golden ripples manifested around Qin Wentian. However, his body didn't waver in the slightest. The expression of the expert from the Sky Bell cult changed. He grabbed out in the air as a gigantic ancient bell appeared. He stared at Qin Wentian. I truly want to see if the defense of your body is real or fake. As the sound of his voice faded, he prepared to continue his attack. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with a terrifying killing intent. With a wave of his hand, a gentle aura slashed out, akin to a weak willow leaf. However, at this instant, a heaven-shaking sword might manifest it, capable of cleaving apart the heavens and earth. With a piercing sound, before the bell even landed, that expert's head was already penetrated by the sword intent. Fresh blood flowed out as his face was filled with shock. Qin Wentian had no expression on his face. He calmly glanced at that expert before finally glancing at the eastern tomb. This place was on the verge of collapse. His silhouette flashed as he soared into the air like a great rock, flying into the distance with no hesitation at all. Qin Wentian naturally knew that there were too many people here who wanted to kill him. When it was time for him to leave, he wouldn't hesitate at all and directly departed. And as expected, at the instant Qin Wentian soared into the air, numerous gazes instantly turned to him. An expert from the Sacred Sun sect roared, "You killed someone from my Sacred Sun sect and now you want to flee?" After speaking, another expert soared into the air. Humph! That expert from the Vajra sect coldly laughed. He soared into the air with lightning speed, chasing after Qin Wentian. Even the Vajra Saint Child Fa died in Qin Wentian's hands. How could he not kill Qin Wentian? At this moment, numerous experts soared into the air with lightning speed, chasing after Qin Wentian. This caused many to sigh in their hearts. Who exactly was this fellow exactly? There were actually so many powerful experts chasing after him. However, the attack he used to kill that expert from the Sky Bell cult earlier was extremely shocking. His strength was definitely extraordinary. Chapter 1455. In the air, a rock could be seen, its entire body flowing with resplendent runic light. Each and every runic light was akin to the silhouette of a great rock, causing the speed of this gigantic rock to be extremely quick. Its wings could stretch for 100 miles. What was shocking was that this great rock didn't seem real. In the center of it, there was actually a human figure. This human figure was none other than Qin Wentian. Behind the great rock, there were many experts chasing after it. There were over 10 immortal kings from different powers, and their cultivation bases were all extremely powerful. In fact, they even borrowed the power of their divine weapons to soar through the air as they chased after Qin Wentian. However, when they saw how fast Qin Wentian was, they couldn't help but to frown. This fellow's speed was actually so fast it was like he had cultivated the pinnacle of the sky rock movement art. With a flap of his wings, he would be able to traverse through space. He must be using a powerful innate technique to maintain this movement technique. Given how fast he is, the exhaustion rate would surely be very high. If we continue chasing after him until he runs out of energy, he will die for sure. An expert from the Sacred Sun sect coldly spoke. A sun appeared behind him as he stood on an immortal weapon, causing sonic booms to ring out. If there was anyone here, their eardrums would surely be deafened. In the air, there would occasionally be experts passing by. When they saw this group of terrifying figures, all of them hurriedly retreated, feeling their hearts trembling. Even for immortal kings, they didn't dare to block their path. When they stared at this group of experts, great waves of shock rose in their hearts. These people were also powerful. There were several peak-stage immortal kings among them, and the rest were all mid-stage immortal kings. Their formation was truly terrifying, and they were all chasing after the person in the lead. This pursuit continued for a very long time, traversing through space. Qin Wentian's speed was too fast. He didn't allow his pursuers to get too close. However, his pursuers were peak-stage immortal kings, and could maintain a certain distance from him after borrowing the power of their speed-type divine weapons. In addition, their immortal senses were locked onto him, making it impossible for him to flee. In addition, some of the pursuers couldn't catch up, and were dragged along by the faster pursuers. It was like they wouldn't rest until they killed Qin Wentian. In front of him, Qin Wentian, who was standing in the middle of the huge rocks, was constantly displaying his body movements. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He didn't expect that these guys would be so persistent. They actually chased after him all the way. It seemed that they wouldn't stop until they killed him. He found the map of the central region of the immortal region in his mind, and after confirming his current location, he suddenly changed his direction and sped towards a certain direction. The experts behind them also changed their direction and chased after them. Can our attacks cross space and stop him? A cultivator asked. After chasing for so long, they still couldn't close the distance between them. They were also frustrated. That fellow's defense is very strong. At such a distance, the law energy attacks are limited. Given his defense, it's basically useless. He won't be able to obstruct his opponent at all. A peak stage immortal king spoke in a heavy voice. Before this, he had already tried but to no avail. This fellow's ability to escape is quite impressive. No wonder he dares to be so unbridled and arrogant. No matter how arrogant he is, he has to die. That peak stage immortal king's killing intent flashed as he spoke. The group of them continued shuttling through the air, as though there was no way for them to stop. They passed by many immortal cities, but Qin Wentian was still persisting. This caused the expressions of the pursuers to turn extremely unsightly. Which city is up ahead? An immortal king from the Sacred Sun sect asked. It's a mountain range. We seem to be arriving at the Chaotic Stone Forest. Chaotic Stone Forest. It's the territory of an immortal emperor known as the Chaotic Stone Immortal Emperor. He used rocks as a formation and created a chaotic stone forest, resembling a gigantic maze. An expert frowned. The territory of an immortal emperor? Only to see that at this moment, a mountain range appeared before their immortal sense. Within the mountain range, there were gigantic boulders that towered into the sky. Mist permeated the air, obstructing the immortal sense. However, Qin Wentian was actually rushing in that direction. That fellow is about to enter the chaotic stone forest. Maybe he entered by mistake. Once he enters, it would be extremely difficult for him to exit. As they spoke, they saw Qin Wentian, who was in the form of a great rock, directly rushing into the chaotic stone forest. In an instant, his silhouette vanished from sight. Their immortal sense could no longer lock onto him. The experts chasing after Qin Wentian all arrived at the entrance of the chaotic stone forest. They stared at the misty stone forest before them. Gigantic boulders covered the entire space, as though they would have no way to escape if they entered. He entered the chaotic stone forest by mistake. What should we do? Someone asked. Is this chaotic stone forest very terrifying? If you enter, you will be trapped inside. There are rumors saying that if you want to exit, you have to ask the chaotic stone immortal emperor for help. Agree to his conditions or he will keep you trapped inside forever. Saint Child of the Sacred Sun sect pays my respects to the chaotic stone immortal emperor. A peak stage immortal king from the Sacred Sun sect spoke loudly, wanting to use his status to get the chaotic stone immortal emperor to step out. The temper of the chaotic stone immortal emperor is eccentric. He would never give face to others. Someone transmitted his voiceover. The expression of the Saint Child from the Sacred Sun sect turned incredibly ugly as a cold light flashed in his eyes. He had already stated his background. What could the chaotic stone immortal emperor do to them? Go, let's enter and kill him. As he spoke, he stepped out and entered the chaotic stone forest. The experts behind him all frowned. An expert from the Thunder God Hall spoke. We are from the Thunder God Hall and pay our respects to Senior Chaotic Stone. We apologize for offending you. With the arrival of two peak powers, even immortal emperors would have to be cautious, right? After Qin Wentian stepped into the chaotic stone forest, he saw numerous towering stone pillars. Each of the stone pillars shone with a resplendent light. These stone pillars were of different heights and had resplendent runic inscriptions, able to borrow the power of the heavens. When he inclined his head, he saw that there was no path ahead. Even immortal emperors might be trapped here. His immortal sense was obstructed. As long as it came into contact with the stone pillars, his immortal sense would be blocked, unable to penetrate through. This formation is truly powerful. Qin Wentian silently mused. He stepped out and traversed through the stone forest. After that, he found a huge rock and sat down cross-legged as he quietly cultivated. It was like he wasn't here to seek refuge but was here to cultivate instead. Those who were chasing after him all entered the stone forest, only to discover that they were all trapped within. Not only that, they were all isolated from the outside world. This stone forest was simply too vast, so vast that they couldn't even walk out. They had no way to find Qin Wentian either. As Qin Wentian continued to cultivate, millions of runic light circulated around him. The Sword Qi River flowed like torrential waves. His 7 astral souls shone brightly in his Yuanfu as a sword-shaped constellation appeared in the center. Boundless sword intent gushed forth from it, all of which were absorbed by Qin Wentian. Around him, towering gigantic swords could be seen pulsing with terrifying sword intent. Finally, the swords condensed into a tiny sword that swam around him unceasingly. Right now, there were already 3 sword intents that appeared. However, Qin Wentian didn't give up. He continued his cultivation, and after which the 4th sword intent appeared, followed by the 5th, all the way until a total of 9 sword intents appeared around Qin Wentian. Clanging sounds rang out as they revolved around his body. The energy in his body seemed to have been completely depleted. His astral souls dimmed, and his Yuanfu dried up. However, a gleam of excitement could be seen in his eyes. He stood up and continued to walk through the stone forest. His immortal sense continued to extend outwards. Although he encountered obstructions, he didn't give up. However, at this moment, Qin Wentian encountered a person. That person instantly erupted with a terrifying killing intent as the heaven bell appeared. Qin Wentian swept his gaze over, his eyes as sharp as swords. After that, with a wave of his hand, 9 sword intents were released. Beams of incomparably dazzling sword light manifested as the heaven bell shattered. That person's head was penetrated as countless sword wounds appeared all over his body. His eyes were wide open as he stared at Qin Wentian, dying with a grievance. Qin Wentian didn't care about his opponent's death. He directly plundered the treasures on his opponent's body, and continued to travel through the stone forest. Finally, he found a location and sat down cross-legged. He then spoke to the void. "Senior, can I borrow your formation for a while?" As he spoke, countless runes manifested on his body as he blasted them towards the ground. Law energy gushed forth frenziedly, actually connecting the rubble together. After that, from the sky, more and more astral light actually flowed towards Qin Wentian. In the vast space, boundless runic light flashed as a majestic sword intent gushed forth. With Qin Wentian in the center, a terrifying sword-shaped diagram appeared, resembling a supreme gigantic sword, its sword might soaring up to the heavens. At the same time, that boundless sword Qi River flowed as numerous tiny swords appeared. Each of these tiny swords were as light as a feather, like fishes swimming in the river. The intense light here was simply too dazzling, causing many experts in the stone forest to turn their heads over. After that, their eyes flashed with coldness as they stepped out, moving in the direction of the light. The one who found Qin Wentian first was a peak-stage immortal king, an expert from the Sacred Sun sect. Terrifying sunlight radiated from him as he stared at Qin Wentian, who was sitting cross-legged. He then coldly spoke, "Not fleeing anymore? Why should I flee?" Qin Wentian stared at him as he spoke. "Your combat prowess is extraordinary, but if you think you can defeat peak-stage immortal kings, you are gravely mistaken. The disparity in cultivation levels isn't so easy to make up for." That expert from the Sacred Sun sect spoke in an incomparably arrogant manner. Numerous suns appeared above him. Qin Wentian laughed as the towering sword Qi River gushed forth, engulfing everything in an instant. Those tiny swords that were swimming in the sword Qi River shot towards that expert. Boom! The sunlight transformed into a sacred light that blocked the sword Qi River, wanting to incinerate everything. That expert from the Sacred Sun sect stepped out, his flames incinerating everything. He coldly spoke, "Since you dared to kill someone from my Sacred Sun sect, you will have to pay the price." Someone who is about to die actually dares to boast so shamelessly. Qin Wentian waved his finger. Those tiny fish swords directly penetrated through the protective layer of sunlight. The countenance of that expert from the Sacred Sun sect drastically changed. After that, the towering sword river directly broke through the protective layer of sunlight, slashing towards him together with the tiny fish swords. In just an instant he was completely engulfed by the sword river. That expert's expression drastically changed. He wanted to resist, but how could he? He was directly penetrated by the countless swords and died on the spot. Chapter 1456. Qin Wentian borrowed the power of the sword formation to kill a peak-stage immortal king. Yet his expression didn't change at all. He was incomparably calm. Those tiny swords swam about in the river of swords, returning to Qin Wentian's side. Runic light flashed unceasingly as law energy flowed into the sword formation around Qin Wentian. Not long after, more experts arrived. When they saw Qin Wentian, their eyes instantly gleamed with a terrifying killing intent. Qin Wentian wasn't polite at all. He lifted his hand and pointed out with a finger as the tiny swords instantly transformed into a towering sword river that shot towards his opponent. Those tiny swords radiated a terrifying sword intent, unblockable. Even mid-stage immortal kings couldn't withstand a single strike and were instantly killed. As more and more experts arrived, the number of people Qin Wentian killed gradually increased. Many corpses could be seen on the ground. When Emo Lanshan arrived here, his expression was incomparably ugly to behold when he saw the scene before him. He saw many of his junior brothers from the Sacred Sun sect being killed here. Their deaths were extremely miserable. You are actually proficient in formations. Emo Lanshan's eyes flashed with an intense killing intent. His eyes seemed to contain the sun within them, spewing out flames as law energy enveloped the area, wanting to incinerate everything. Qin Wentian was proficient in formations, and he borrowed the power of the chaotic stone forest to kill the experts from the Sacred Sun sect and the Eastern Tomb faction. Behind Emo Lanshan, more experts arrived. These were all experts from the Vajra sect. When they saw this scene, their expressions turned ashen. Given your talent, you shouldn't be a nameless character. Who are you exactly? Emo Lanshan spoke. Even if you don't say, my Sacred Sun sect would be able to investigate very quickly. Even if you die here, I will still know who you are. Eastern Regions, Immortal Champion Gate, Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian spoke. In the desolate mountain range, there were already people from your Sacred Sun sect who came to disturb me and were all killed by me, including the Saint Child of the Sacred Sun sect. Who would have thought that in this messy stone forest, more people from the Sacred Sun sect would die in my hands? Don't you think this is ridiculous? So it's the one rumored to be taken in as a son-in-law by the Chongqing the Great, the one who triggered the Immortal Realm's ruling. Emo Lanshan had heard of Qin Wentian's name before. Although he was from the Sacred Sun sect in the central regions of the Immortal Realms, as a sage child character, he naturally had to know about the major events of the world. He had to know about all the famous characters and powers in the Immortal Realms, and Qin Wentian was extremely famous recently. This was especially so in the Eastern regions. Saint Child Emo Lanshan of the Sacred Sun sect, there's nothing wrong with you dying in my hands. Emo Lanshan slowly spoke. Even if you have the support of the Chongqing the Great, I still have to kill you for killing so many people from my Sacred Sun sect. Another sage child? Why are all of you so confident yet all of you died in the end? Qin Wentian mocked. You will see for yourself. Emo Lanshan didn't say anything more. His eyes erupted with heaven-shaking immortal might. In just an instant, a terrifying solar storm manifested as a terrifying sun vortex appeared, wanting to incinerate everything as it shot towards the location where Qin Wentian was at. Qin Wentian stared at the incoming solar storm as shock filled his heart. As expected of a peak-stage immortal king Saint Child character, he truly had extraordinary attainments in the immortal realms. His innate techniques were truly shocking. Go! Qin Wentian waved his hand as a sword river gushed forth, sweeping through the heavens and earth, aiming for the solar storm. However, the sword river was completely engulfed by the crimson sun vortex, incinerated into nothingness. The fish-shaped sword erupted forth with a fearsome sword might, breaking apart everything, piercing into the center of the solar storm as it continued on its way towards Emo Lanshan. Is this the power of holy? Will you comprehend it? Emo Lanshan coldly laughed. His eyes were terrifying, resembling two suns. He folded hand seals, and with a wave of his hand, an incomparably dazzling holy sun sword appeared in his hands. This holy sun sword instantly manifested a fearsome screen of swords, blocking everything. The fish-shaped sword slammed into the screen of swords, but it actually had no way to break through it. Explode! Emo Lanshan coldly snorted. The solar storm before him directly exploded as destructive shockwaves swept across the sky. This entire space seemed like it was the end of the world. Everything was about to be destroyed. Qin Wentian's body was actually in the center of the storm. Qin Wentian's body shimmered with a flawless immortal light. His finger pressed out in the air as 9 streams of holy will revolved around him, weaving into a screen of sword light. Any attacks that blasted over were all minced apart. Break! Emo Lanshan roared once more. The sun rays tore apart everything. He stepped out, entering the center of Qin Wentian's sword formation. The heavens and earth were lacerated as fissures appeared on the ground. He was incomparably domineering, directly moving towards Qin Wentian. As a peak-stage immortal king saint-child character of the Sacred Sun sect, his combat prowess was extremely high. Even if Qin Wentian borrowed the power of his sword formation, he would still be able to kill him. When the Sacred Sun sword slashed over, Qin Wentian's countenance was as cold as ice. When the Sacred Sun sword slashed over, he took out the tiny pagoda. The holy will of the pagoda directly infused into it as he blasted it forward. In an instant, a majestic aura that could suppress the heavens and earth gushed forth, causing this entire space to be suppressed. Qin Wentian stood up and stepped out. He was actually the same as Emo Lanshan, walking towards his opponent with no fear at all. The torrential sword Qi River moved together with his body, transforming into a heaven-slaughtering sword. This entire space was in the form of a sword, capable of annihilating everything in the world as it slashed towards Emo Lanshan. Emo Lanshan's eyes turned even more terrifying. Numerous sun vortexes appeared, protecting him, wanting to incinerate everything. Although he was being suppressed, he still continued moving forward. The two of them had no fear at all, advancing forward with indomitable will, wanting to kill each other. I want to see where your confidence comes from to dare to fight against me like this, Emo Lanshan roared. For immortal kings, the closer they got to their bodies, the stronger their law energy would be. They were all immortal kings. Their bodies were the foundation of their laws. Hence, the power they could unleash would naturally be the strongest. I have the confidence to kill you. Qin Wentian spoke. There was no fear on his face. He was filled with boundless determination, like he would win for sure. You overestimate your sword formation too much. Emo Lanshan spoke, continuing forward. This space was too terrifying. It felt like he was really standing under the sun. Qin Wentian's body turned scarlet red, about to be incinerated. Even his law energy was about to be incinerated. Qin Wentian didn't say anything. He moved closer step by step. The suppressive might of the little pagoda affected his opponent's movements. The experts from the Vajra sect felt their hearts trembling when they saw the battle between the two of them. This was too powerful. If he was Emo Lanshan, he would have already died in the hands of Qin Wentian. In such a battle, he actually didn't even have the qualifications to interfere. When they were chasing after Qin Wentian, they didn't expect Qin Wentian to be so powerful. If Emo Lanshan also died in the hands of Qin Wentian, no one would be able to stop him. Finally, when the two of them neared each other, the barrier of light around Qin Wentian seemed to shatter and be incinerated into nothingness. Emo Lanshan roared, "Go to hell!" As the sound of his voice faded, the solar storm completely erupted, engulfing everything. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with an intense coldness. The 9 strands of Saint Will infused with the might of the sword formation shot out. In an instant, the 9 swords fused into one, becoming one. A piercing sound rang out as a hole appeared in Emo Lanshan's head. Another light sound rang out as Emo Lanshan's head exploded. He didn't even have the time to scream and was already dead. Naturally, Qin Wentian didn't have it any better as well. That incinerating energy frenziedly gushed into his body, causing his entire body to turn fiery red, as though he was about to be incinerated. Is he trying to perish together? That expert from the Vajra sect stood far behind as he spoke in a low voice. This ending was truly shocking. However, at this moment, he saw Qin Wentian's eyes staring at him. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with a terrifying light, disregarding everything, causing his heart to tremble violently. After that, he only saw Qin Wentian's body gradually recovering, returning to its original state, resembling a fiend god. Impossible! That expert from the Vajra sect exclaimed in shock. Qin Wentian's eyes were as cold as ice, radiating killing intent. He stared at Qin Wentian's recovering body as he roared, "Why is it an undying body?" After speaking, he turned and fled, not daring to stay here any longer. He was afraid that Qin Wentian would kill him in a fit of anger. The leader of the Sacred Sun sect this time around, Saint Child Emo Lanshan, died for nothing. Qin Wentian actually didn't die. Staring at the departing experts, Qin Wentian's aura also gradually weakened. His silhouette flickered as he flew towards the exit, preparing to leave this chaotic stone forest. "You caused so much trouble for me. Are you going to leave just like that?" A voice drifted over, drifting into Qin Wentian's ears. His heart trembled as he replied, "Senior, this junior was helpless as well. I hope that senior can forgive me. Where did your formation Tao come from?" That expert who didn't show himself asked. "The Tao of formations is a Tao of cultivation. Since I have comprehended the Tao of cultivation, I would naturally understand the Tao of formations as well." Qin Wentian replied, "What a good Tao. Since the Tao of formations is a Tao of cultivation, you can leave now." That voice was ethereal as an exit actually appeared in the stone forest. "Many thanks, senior." Qin Wentian clasped his hands towards the exit. After that, his silhouette flashed as he departed this place. After he left, an old man appeared in the stone forest. This old man was none other than the chaotic stone immortal emperor. He stared at Qin Wentian's departing back as a smile appeared on his face. "The experts from the Sacred Sun sect came to my stone forest and were killed by someone. What does this have to do with me?" He laughed. A moment later, the formation activated and everything within the forest became clear. Very swiftly, those who were still alive saw the corpses of those who died under Qin Wentian's formation. All of their countenances turned pale as they were shocked, speechless. They came here in an imposing manner to hunt down Qin Wentian, thinking that they would be able to take Qin Wentian's life for sure. Who would have thought that so many experts would actually die here? Even Emo Lanshan was killed. Someone saw a headless corpse and spoke. Emo Lanshan was a saint child of the Sacred Sun sect, a peak-stage immortal king with extraordinary strength and status. Yet he actually died here. There was still sword intent lingering on his body. Clearly he was killed by a sword. "What should we do?" someone asked. "Bring the corpse back and report the truth." Everyone sighed in their hearts as they stared into the distance. Their hearts were in a mess. Chapter 1457. The incident in the Eastern Tomb Immortal City caused a huge commotion. The Eastern Tomb opened, the inheritance collapsed, the Holy Book vanished, the Holy Will dissipated. The Black Metal Sword Emperor fought against several immortal emperors and actually escaped with only injuries. In fact, he even injured 3 immortal emperors, causing many experts to be shocked. This was especially so for the Eastern Tomb Immortal City. The Black Metal Sword Emperor sealed himself in the Eastern Tomb and his strength actually underwent a transformation. Other than this, because of the incident in the Eastern Tomb Immortal City, many experts died. Among them, there was even a peak-stage immortal king Saint Child from the Sacred Sun sect. This wasn't a minor matter and caused a huge commotion in the Sacred Sun sect. They started to investigate the incident and after that, they learned that the killer was none other than Qin Wentian from the eastern regions. They immediately gave the order to search for traces of Qin Wentian and even sent this news to the Dongshang Heaven Emperor, causing him to be infuriated. Back then on the Demon God Mountain, they actually failed to kill Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was still alive and was living a carefree life, running to the central regions of the immortal realms to wreak havoc. As for the Evergreen Kingdom and Dongshangshan Gate, they all heaved a sigh of relief when they received this news, silently musing that Qin Wentian's life was truly tough. After acting arrogantly on the Demon God Mountain, he killed a saint child from the Sacred Sun sect and entered the central regions of the immortal realms, killing a saint child as well as several other experts from the Sacred Sun sect. Qin Wentian was simply a baleful god, causing a storm of blood no matter where he went. However, just when many people were searching for news of Qin Wentian actually vanished without a trace. The eastern regions of the immortal realms were simply too vast, It was unknown how many famous mountains and great rivers there were. The vastness of the land was simply unimaginable. Even for immortal emperors, wanting to find someone from the central regions was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Let alone, Qin Wentian had already changed his appearance. Naturally, although this matter attracted the attention of many, it was merely a minor matter when compared to the entire immortal realms. Right now, the gazes of many experts were still on the demonic beasts from the desolate mountain range. These demonic beasts started to infiltrate the immortal realms, starting from the northern regions, expanding unceasingly, directly establishing a power in the territory of human Wuxiu, wanting to turn the entire immortal realms into their territory. They wanted to gain more authority compared to humans. Some powers of the immortal realm stood out to resist, but they were swiftly suppressed by the demonic kings of the desolate mountain range, directly crushing them. These demonic kings were simply too terrifying, powerful to the point of shock. And this was just the strength they displayed. The desolate mountain range was their main base. It was unknown how strong they would be if they didn't display their true strength. Those peak powers of the immortal realms all fell silent, silently agreeing to the invasion of the desolate mountain range. Hence, from the north to the south, a wave of demonic beasts from the desolate mountain range began. These demonic kings of the desolate mountain range were simply too terrifying. This was especially so after they experienced the baptism of the demon god mountain range. They all underwent a transformation. Some of the kings of the desolate mountain range even had stronger bloodlines, and their combat prowess was shocking. They even dared to challenge the strongest geniuses of the peak powers of the immortal realms. In fact, many people faintly felt that the demonic beasts with the highest talent were even more terrifying. The desolate mountain range that had been silent for so many years suddenly erupted, engulfing the immortal realms. However, with regards to all of this, Qin Wentian had no idea at all. Back then, when he killed the Saint Child of the Sacred Sun sect, he understood that the Sacred Sun sect would definitely investigate him. Given the people of the Sacred Sun sect, given his appearance, it was very easy for them to find out his identity. The news that he was still alive would soon circulate out, causing Eastern Sage and his other enemies to hunt him down. As for his family and friends, they would all heave a sigh of relief, knowing that he was safe and sound. Alone, he entered a vast mountain range and concealed himself to cultivate. In the Eastern Tomb, he comprehended the Holy Book and the Holy Will. Although he managed to form a total of 9 strands of sword intent, it was still far from enough. He had no way to fully digest the insights he gained in the Eastern Tomb. Hence, he spent a total of 5 years in closed-door seclusion, isolating himself from the world. During these 5 years, his improvements were extremely great. His comprehension was very deep and his physique grew even stronger. His cultivation base at the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm was also extremely stable, stepping into the late stage of the Immortal King realm. If he encountered Mo Lanshan again, Qin Wentian was confident that he wouldn't need to risk his life to kill him. Similarly, during these 5 years, the changes in the immortal realms were also extremely great. When Qin Wentian donned the mask Feng Qianxue forged for him in the past, donned the divine robes and carried his saber and sword on his back as he descended the mountain range, he discovered that the central regions of the immortal realms had already changed. In a short span of 5 years, the greater demons of the desolate mountains had already invaded the immortal realms. It was too fast, just a mere 5 years. For many experts, 5 years might pass in a blink of an eye. But in the outside world, the heavens and earth had been turned upside down. Whenever he passed by a city, he would see many demonic beasts. Some of these demonic beasts were extremely tyrannical and savage. At the shore of the eastern seas, there was a city named Gazing Emperor City. It was incomparably majestic, with experts as common as the clouds and countless geniuses gathered here. There weren't any peak powers stationed here, but there were many immortal emperors. In this city, one could often see Empyreans. One could say that Gazing Emperor City was one of the cities in the central regions where immortal kings and above could be seen the most. There was no other reason. It was because Gazing Emperor City was located at the shore of the eastern seas. And after passing through the eastern seas, one would arrive at the city of ancient emperors. This was also the origin of the name Gazing Emperor City. Today, in the Gazing Emperor City, a mysterious young man with a sword and saber on his back stepped into the city. This young man was clad in simple robes and didn't exude any powerful aura, yet he exuded an extremely natural aura. His deep eyes would occasionally shine with a bright light, causing the souls of those who looked at him to tremble. The features of this young man were extremely handsome, yet he gave off a strange feeling. It was as though his features couldn't be seen clearly and exuded a sense of mystery, giving off a sense of illusion. This young man was none other than Qin Wentian. I finally arrived. Qin Wentian stared at the people in the city as he spoke in a low voice. His target was none other than the city of ancient emperors. On the way here, his strength had risen by quite a bit. Qin Wentian felt an intense sense of danger, forcing him to continuously improve himself and grow stronger. Boom boom. The earth rumbled, trembling violently. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over, only to see a few greater demons rampaging through the city. That was none other than the Kuei Ox. It had a gigantic body and was extremely malevolent. With every step it took, fissures appeared on the ground. No one dared to block its path. Scram! A Kuei Ox roared, causing blood to flow from the eardrums of some people. There were also weaker humans who were directly sent flying, suffering heavy injuries. Those Kuei Ox ignored them and continued to rampage through the ground, tyrannical to the extreme. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows. When the Kuei Ox passed by, a commotion could be heard from the crowd. The Kuei Ox is also a saint beast. Now that it has come to the Gazing Emperor City, does this mean that the sky is going to change? The greater demons of the desolate mountains are invading the immortal realms, and there are a few important locations that they are interested in. One of them is the city of ancient emperors. That's right, the Tiandao Sacred Academy appeared in the immortal realms, and the Demon God Mountain appeared in the desolate mountains. Everyone said that this is a new era, and there would definitely be many supreme geniuses appearing. Right now, many people want to contend for the #1 position, becoming the most dazzling character, defeating all enemies in the world. Only by doing so would they have a chance to become a demon god or ancient emperor, dominating the world. Seems like everyone believes that the person who defeated all the geniuses in the world would eventually be the supreme ruler of the world. Someone sighed. Right now, there were many rumors circulating around in the immortal realms. One of them was that with the arrival of a new era, there would be countless geniuses roaming the world. The most dazzling character would eventually become the king of the new era. The city of ancient emperors had always been a place where geniuses contended against each other, attracting countless experts. Right now, many saint beasts and greater demons have arrived. The demonic beasts are so tyrannical, trampling on the humans. Everyone has no reaction at all, yet you guys are discussing about the king of the world. Aren't you guys a little too hypocritical? Someone coldly spoke, interrupting the discussion. Their gazes turned to a young man. This young man was clad in white and looked extremely young. Beside him, there was a young girl around 15 to 16 years of age. She had bright eyes and white teeth, looking pure and flawless. However, there was a hint of sorrow in her eyes. Brother, we're already used to such matters. The demonic beasts are rampaging everywhere in the immortal realms, causing the peak powers to remain silent. Who would dare to interfere? They would be directly trampled into pieces. Someone replied, "It's not that we are cold-blooded. Saint beasts and greater demons have extraordinary strength, and the powers behind them are unfathomable. Even the emperor-rank powers didn't say anything. What can we do?" You're wrong. There's still competition between humans and demons. Don't forget that in the ancient emperor palace of the Gazing Emperor City, there are countless geniuses gathering at every moment, staring at the emperor's eyes to see who can become the king. Someone spoke. Ancient Emperor Palace. Not far away, Qin Wentian's eyes flashed when he heard this name. In the map, the Ancient Emperor Palace of the Gazing Emperor City was specially mentioned. It was rumored that this was a place where ancient emperors once visited before. Once, there were ancient emperors who sat in the Ancient Emperor Palace, guiding the world and testing the talent of the geniuses under them. Many ruins in the Ancient Emperor Palace have long been plundered by others, leaving behind only the majestic palace. However, there was still a ruin that no one could bring away. It was none other than the emperor's eyes. There were many rumors regarding the emperor's eyes. Some said that it was the eyes of ancient emperors. Some said that it was formed from the will of ancient emperors. But there were even more people who felt that it was a treasure created by an ancient emperor, infusing his will into it, allowing it to undergo countless transformations. Right now, the emperor's eyes already had the ability to see talent. Many experts heading to the city of ancient emperors would head to the ancient emperor palace to see their talent. Seems like you guys are already numb to it. How lamentable, the demonic beasts trampled on us humans, causing countless innocent people to die. As cultivators, we don't even dare to resist. What a shame. That white-robed young man was extremely angry. You dare to resist? Someone mocked. Brother, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't speak nonsense. The current immortal realms are no longer the immortal realms of the past. It's easy to die here. Someone sinisterly spoke. Humans have actually fallen to such an extent? How lamentable. That young man sighed. The young girl beside him also had a sorrowful look on her face. Their family members all died in the hands of the demonic beasts. They naturally hated these demons to the extreme. Gee. At this moment, a terrifying claw suddenly slammed down, directly penetrating through the young man's body, tearing his heart apart. A human figure walked over. His expression changed as he took on the form of a demonic beast. It was actually a demonic beast that had taken on the form of a human. Everyone retreated. As expected of the saying, it's easy for one to die here if one speaks nonsense. Elder brother. That young girl screamed. Her countenance instantly turned incomparably pale. Not far away, Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with a cold killing intent when he saw this scene. On his way here he heard many rumors and knew that the demonic beasts have already infiltrated the immortal realms, seizing territories, establishing their own power and acting tyrannically. But he didn't expect that the demonic beasts would be so tyrannical and cruel to such an extent. Chapter 1458. That was a bear demon. His sharp claws were pulled out from the other party's heart, drenched in blood. Then, he transformed back into a human hand. He placed his fingers at the corner of his mouth and licked them. His demonic eyes stared at the young lady and said, "How do you want to die?" "Elder brother." The young girl hugged the corpse of the young man as tears flowed down her face. The humans in the surroundings retreated far away, silently shaking their heads and sighing when they saw this. Rumble. That black hand transformed back into a bear claw and slashed out towards the young girl. But at this moment, a beam of sword light suddenly descended from the sky. With a light-piercing sound, a scream of misery rang out. The bear demon's claw was directly severed as fresh blood flowed unceasingly. His body trembled. He turned his gaze over and stared at Qin Wentian, who was walking towards him step by step. "You severed my palm?" That bear demon howled and reverted back to his original form, becoming incomparably gigantic. Qin Wentian lifted his hand and slashed out with his sword. The light was incomparably dazzling, akin to a beam of divine light that cleaved down from the sky. In just an instant, the gigantic bear demon was directly slain as he collapsed onto the ground. From the start to the end, Qin Wentian didn't say a single word. Roar! A thunderous roar shook the sky. Rumbling sounds echoed out as many gazes turned towards Qin Wentian. These gazes were incomparably demonic, and in an instant, a violent demonic wind manifested in this space, causing everyone to feel a chill in their hearts. "Are you courting death?" A cold voice rang out. Many demonic beasts actually walked out from the crowd. They were all in human form, mingling together with the humans. Seems like the greater demons of the desolate mountains have already completely infiltrated the immortal realms. Qin Wentian silently mused. He glanced at the humans in the surroundings as he spoke. "These beasts all know how to be more united than you guys." The expressions of everyone turned unsightly. Was he saying that they were inferior to beasts? Boom! A gigantic demonic beast palm imprint slammed towards Qin Wentian. It was actually a greater demon of the immortal king realm. Its aura was so shocking that it wanted to crush the sky, causing the sky to change color. Qin Wentian inclined his head and coldly glanced in that direction. He directly took out the ancient sword on his back and slashed out with it. In an instant, a sword manifested, slashing horizontally across the sky, slashing down, destroying the palm imprint and the immortal king, who was angered. It was incomparably domineering. Immortal King expert. This man is actually a powerful Immortal King character. The expressions of everyone stiffened as they stared at Qin Wentian, feeling fear in their hearts. Since the demonic beasts of the desolate land have mingled with the humans, they should abide by the rules of the humans. If they wantonly slaughter humans, then the humans will return the favor. Qin Wentian said in a domineering manner. He stepped out, intimidating all the demonic beasts. None of the demonic beasts dared to step forward. However, they didn't leave either. They just stared coldly at Qin Wentian, their eyes flashing with a wild light. The desolate royal tribe has descended to the gazing emperor city. There's actually a human who dares to incite the crowd to deal with us demonic beasts. Don't tell me they don't deserve to be killed? A demonic voice rang out in the air. Everyone inclined their heads, only to see a group of figures walking over. This group of people exuded extraordinary auras, and the person in the lead was clad in white robes. His eyes gleamed with a jade-green light, exuding a sinister coldness. In that case, he kills humans while I kill demonic beasts. Do I deserve to die? Qin Wentian inclined his head, staring at the figures descending from the sky. That white-robed figure had a sinister smile on his face. After that, he spoke. Yes, but you deserve to die as well. Is that so? Qin Wentian stepped out. If you know your mistake and are willing to kneel and beg for mercy, becoming my slave, I can show you mercy and spare your life. The eyes of the white-robed figure were cold. Under his gaze, Qin Wentian actually felt extremely uncomfortable as he felt his head spinning. Rumble! Qin Wentian soared up into the air, instantly appearing even higher than the white-robed figure. He stared at the incoming group of demonic beasts as he coldly spoke. A bunch of vile beasts actually wants me to be your slave? If I agree, would you all dare to accept me? As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, a fearsome destructive wind manifested. A terrifying black-colored sword intent directly pierced through the air, arriving before the group of demonic beasts. The countenances of those demonic beasts changed as they tried to resist. However, they only saw Qin Wentian brandishing his sword and slashing out with it. A piercing sound rang out as a demonic immortal king was directly slain. How dare you? That demonic beast in the lead could sense how extraordinary Qin Wentian was. His expression changed. I'm from a demon race under the Heavenhold race of the Desolate Mountains. We entered Gazing Emperor City together with the Heavenhold race. Yet you dare to act against us? Slay. Qin Wentian spat out a single word. His sword intent gushed forth as a terrifying sword river manifested, wanting to annihilate everything. That immortal king who spoke earlier was directly slashed into two. His eyes widened in disbelief even at the moment of his death. Qin Wentian coldly glanced at the other greater demons, not concealing his killing intent at all. The experts of the Heavenhold race and many supreme geniuses of the Desolate Mountains are currently in the ancient Emperor Palace of Gazing Emperor City. How dare you slaughter the demonic beasts of the Desolate Mountains so brazenly? Aren't you afraid of being slaughtered? One of them roared when he sensed Qin Wentian's killing intent. However, Qin Wentian didn't care at all. Sword light radiated forth as his sword intent permeated the air. Very swiftly, the group of demonic beasts were all slaughtered. The hearts of everyone trembled as they stared at Qin Wentian. They didn't know which character came to Gazing Emperor City and was actually so domineering. Even the royal clan of the Desolate Mountains couldn't do anything to him. He killed the subordinates of the royal clan of the Desolate Mountains mercilessly without mercy. All demonic beasts scram for me. Qin Wentian stood in the air and roared. A moment later, the eyes of the demonic beasts flashed with coldness, but they all sped away. Qin Wentian glanced at the young girl on the ground. She was still sobbing in front of her brother's corpse. At this moment, she inclined her head and stared at him. Thank you, senior, for your help. Qin Wentian sighed. After that, an ordinary strand of immortal sense shot out from his body and landed on the young girl. This strand of immortal sense isn't a protective strand of immortal sense. It will automatically vanish, but it can still protect you for some time. Bury your brother well and leave this place of trouble. I have no way to repay senior's great kindness. The young girl was about to bow when Qin Wentian used his energy to lift her up. With a single step, he departed this place. He wasn't a sage. He could only help her to this point. Gazing Emperor City, the ancient Emperor Palace. Experts were as common as the clouds, and it was unknown how many experts would come here every day. Before the central palace of the ancient Emperor Palace, there was an ancient battle platform that exuded a solemn aura. There were armored puppets guarding the area, but these puppets seemed to have been sealed away, as though they hadn't been used for a very long time. The central palace floated in the air, separated into 8 directions. There were thrones of emperors, and those who sat on them would be able to see everything happening on the battle platform. When Qin Wentian arrived here, there were already many experts gathered here. However, these people were all standing on the ground staring up at the experts in the air. Those who sat on the thrones in the central palace were the true peak geniuses of the desolate mountains and the immortal realms, possessing immense authority. The ancient Emperor Palace is truly extraordinary, Qin Wentian silently mused. The entire central palace seemed to be lifted up by a formation, floating in the air. Those who sat on the spectator stands could easily see what was happening on the battle platform. Not only so, those people from the central palace seemed to be enjoying themselves very much. Immortal banquets were laid out before them, and there were even some powerful characters with beauties beside them. What was even more bizarre was that above the battle platform, floating in the middle of the palace, there was actually a dazzling light radiating from it, enveloping the entire platform. There was a pair of terrifying eyes in the air, akin to the eyes of the heavens, incomparably wondrous. These eyes were the legendary emperor's eyes. It was rumored that they were created by the ancient emperors. "Sir, what is happening here?" Qin Wentian asked a person beside him. "Don't you know? The supreme greater demons of the desolate mountains and the peak powers of the immortal realms are all preparing to enter the city of ancient emperors. Before this, they are all gathered in the central palace, observing the people who came to the Gazing Emperor City to take the test of the emperor's eyes. There are humans and demons, and they want to see if the demonic races of the desolate mountains are stronger or the human wuxiu is stronger. Occasionally, there would be experts from the demonic races and peak powers of the desolate mountains fighting on the battle platforms, setting up bets and discussing the Tao. This has already been going on for many days." The person beside him replied. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the 8 floating palaces. Among them, 4 were where the demonic beasts of the desolate mountains gathered, while the other 4 were where the peak powers of the human wuxiu resided. His gaze was somewhat cold, because Qin Wentian could see that the maidens serving the demonic beasts were all extremely beautiful and had extraordinary cultivation bases. Clearly, they were forced to serve the demonic beasts. At this moment, Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with sharpness. He actually saw a familiar silhouette beside a young greater demon. It was none other than Nanfeng Shunga of the Namhuang clan. She was actually captured by a greater demon and was serving him by the side, serving him tea. Nanfeng Shunga's watery eyes flashed with sorrow, as though she had no way to resist. If she resisted, the consequences would be extremely dire. These demons of the desolate mountains were capable of anything. How about another round? At this moment, a greater demon from the desolate mountains spoke, staring at the experts from the peak powers. "I'll accompany you." Experts from both sides were preparing to step out. However, at this moment, whistling sounds rang out in the air. In an instant, the temperature of this space suddenly rose. A group of celestial maidens stepped out, bringing with them flames of anger as they descended. The maiden in the lead exuded an unparalleled magnificence. Her long hair fluttered in the wind like a waterfall, and her eyes were like limpid autumn waters. Although there was anger in them, they were still breathtakingly beautiful, causing people to involuntarily sigh in admiration. What a beauty! Also, this celestial maiden had a phoenix crown on her head, exuding an aura of nobility. "Release her." That celestial maiden stared in the direction of Nanfeng Shunga as she coldly spoke. This maiden was none other than the holy successor of the Namhuang clan, Namhuang Yunshi. Not long ago, she had already broken through to the immortal king realm and had extraordinary accomplishments, causing a huge commotion in the Namhuang clan. The phoenix ancestor even baptized her. When the desolate mountains invaded, Namhuang Yunshi came out to temper herself and thought of the city of ancient emperors. However, she didn't expect to encounter a tyrannical demonic beast that forcefully abducted Nanfeng Shunga. The demonic young man beside Nanfeng Shunga lifted his wine cup and took a sip, ignoring the anger of the holy successor of the Namhuang clan. His demonic eyes surveyed Namhuang Yunqi as a demonic smile appeared on his face. If it wasn't for the fact that you are the holy successor of the Namhuang clan, I would have abducted you as a slave to serve me. Who would have thought that you wouldn't know what's good for you and came looking for me again? Do you really think I wouldn't dare to do so? The experts here all felt their hearts trembling. The demons of the desolate mountains were truly bold, actually wanting to abduct the holy successor of the Namhuang clan as a slave. Simply arrogant to the extreme. Chapter 1459. Namhuang Yunqi's countenance was ice cold. It's fine if your desolate mountain range invades as demonic beasts, but to think that you are so tyrannical, seizing people as you wish. Aren't you afraid of incurring the wrath of the immortal realms? The wrath of the immortal realms? That demonic young man laughed mockingly. My desolate mountain range entering the immortal realms is an irresistible trend. It's because of our strength. Could it be that you think it's because of the benevolence and courtesy of the immortal realms? You humans have your own rules, but my desolate mountain range has mine. In my desolate mountain range, the strong are the kings. All demonic beasts have to bow their heads and serve me. It's the same in your immortal realms as well. Being able to serve me is her glory. Naturally, if the holy successor of the Namhuang clan can become my serving girl, that would be even better. Haha, I heard that the people of the Namhuang clan have the bloodline of a true phoenix. If you capture her to warm your bed and give birth to more descendants, there's a high possibility that she might become a royal greater demon. Why don't you give it a try? A demonic beast in another floating palace laughed. The Namhuang clan is a peak power of the southern regions, noble and holy. Do you all dare? A voice rang out. Everyone turned to the person who spoke. It was none other than the human Wu Xiao, an immortal king from the Ying clan. When he spoke, there was no anger on his face. He had a smile on his face, as though he was intentionally trying to provoke the demonic beasts. This fellow is intentionally trying to sow discord. Someone spoke. At this moment, he still wants to incite conflict between the Namhuang clan and the Namhuang clan. As peak powers of the southern regions, the Ying clan and the Namhuang clan have always been at odds. You don't dare? That demonic beast king coldly laughed. He stared at Namhuang Yunqi. Namhuang Yunqi, I'll give you a chance. I'll send an expert from my clan to take the test together with you. If you persist for a long time, I will release your subordinates. If you persist for a short time, you have to serve me. How about it? No. Nanfeng Shunga stared at Namhuang Yunqi and shook her head. These demons were all from the royal bloodline and were all extremely powerful. Any one of them was extremely terrifying. Nanfeng Shunga was worried that Namhuang Yunqi would fail. Of course, if you don't dare to do it yourself, you can send someone else. As long as both sides agree on the same cultivation level, it will be fine. Don't you guys like to be fair? I'll do it myself. Namhuang Yunqi said coldly. I'll do it for you. A voice drifted over. From the crowd, a young man with delicate features walked out. He looked extremely young. Yet he radiated the might of an immortal king, exuding an extraordinary aura. It was unknown just how violent the might of the meteors was. Kuei reverted to his true form. He had a single horn on his head and let out a thunderous roar. Resplendent bolts of thunder and lightning blasted out, blasting the meteors into smithereens, destroying them. Behind Junmengchen, a picture scroll appeared. Within it, numerous silver spears could be seen congregating together and shooting towards the sky. They were like divine might descending into the world, wanting to shatter everything, causing the meteors in the air to explode. This emperor's eye can actually transform unceasingly, causing its attacks to grow stronger and stronger. Qin Wentian felt some shock in his heart. Being able to see Namhuang Yunqi and Junmengchen here, he was extremely surprised. Also, the two of them have already broken through to the immortal king realm. This brat Junmengchen's strength grew much stronger as well. Clearly, he didn't waste his time during these years. Boom! Kuei stepped out and let out a heaven-shaking roar at Junmengchen. The roar shook the heavens and earth, manifesting lightning and thunder. The originally violent space transformed into a lightning domain that gushed towards Junmengchen, wanting to kill Junmengchen on the spot. The talent of these greater demons is truly powerful. The might of a single roar is so tyrannical. The hearts of everyone trembled. Jun Mingchen similarly roared. In an instant, countless silver spears shot out from the picture scroll, wanting to destroy the heavens and earth, shattering the lightning region. The picture scroll flew out and floated in the air. Instantly, a supreme might gushed forth, transforming into a domain that engulfed this entire space. The crowd suddenly had a feeling that Kuei was trapped within Jun Mingchen's domain. The eyes of many powerful immortal kings gleamed with sharpness when they saw this scene. This was the legendary power. Kill! Jun Mingchen roared. Countless silver spears manifested from the picture scroll, shooting towards Kuei. Kuei howled in rage as lightning crackled forth. However, there were simply too many silver spears, there was no end to them. The Kuei howled in rage and struggled, unleashing all sorts of attacks wanting to break free from this domain. However, he discovered that the entire space was engulfed by the spears, and he had no way to escape. Finally, the Kuei's body was pierced through and he died miserably on the spot. I will keep this Kuei with me. If there's a chance in the future, I will roast it and eat it. It would definitely be a great tonic. Jun Mingchen spoke. The picture scroll dissipated and the Kuei actually vanished along with it. The eyes of many experts gleamed with sharpness. As expected of the great era, experts would appear in large numbers. Even such a heaven-shaking physique would appear. Impudent. The demonic young man sitting on the throne in the floating palace coldly spoke. You are the impudent one. Can't you afford to lose? Isn't it about time to release him? Jun Mingchen inclined his head as he spoke. Haha, you demons are too weak. The test of the emperor's eye has just begun and you are already killed. An expert from a peak power laughed uproariously. You guys better obediently release him. The Namhuang clan isn't someone you can afford to antagonize. An expert from the Ying clan coldly spoke. Oh, a demonic look appeared on the face of that demonic young man. He grabbed Nanfeng Shunga and laughed evilly. If you're willing to bet, you must be willing to lose. I will release him right now. As he spoke, he tossed Nanfeng Shunga forward. After that, he stabbed out with his finger, causing Nanfeng Shunga to cough out blood in the air. Her vitality instantly withered. Shunga! Namhuang Yunshi was greatly shocked. Her silhouette flashed as she caught Nanfeng Shunga. She took out a medicinal pill and fed it to Nanfeng Shunga while protecting her heart meridians. Circulate your immortal energy. Nanfeng Shunga nodded. The two of them were bathed in phoenix flames as though they were undergoing nirvanic rebirth. The people from the Namhuang clan coldly stared at that demonic young man before turning to the experts from the Ying clan. This person has been intentionally provoking the Demon Kings to act against the Namhuang clan. He was simply despicable to the extreme. Shameless. Jun Mingchen's rage towered up into the sky. I only promised to release her. I've already done it. That demonic young man coldly spoke. Do you still dare to continue? Why wouldn't I dare? Jun Mingchen icily replied. Fine then. The eyes of the Demon Kings were ice cold, flashing with killing intent. As for those from the peak powers of the human race, they all had the attitude of watching a good show. The experts from the Ying clan laughed. A heaven chosen has appeared in our human race. He would definitely be able to sweep through the demon race and slaughter them all. This young man's talent isn't bad. He will slaughter the demons in our human race's stead. A peak stage immortal king from the Sanluo Immortal Empire spoke. You guys are unwilling to give up after losing. Since you guys want to play, I will play with you guys. A voice rang out as several experts stepped out. Qin Wentian glanced at the person in the lead. This person was none other than one of the immortal kings who participated in the war between the Dongshengshan Gate and the immortal Qianbian Gate back then. His name was Tuoba Saint Sky and his strength was extraordinary. Jun Mingchen came here together with several experts from the Heavenly Talisman realm. Count me in. Qin Wentian stepped out. Tuoba Saint Sky, Jun Mingchen and the others all stared at Qin Wentian as their eyes gleamed. They could sense that Qin Wentian was a disciple of their Heavenly Talisman realm. However, they have never seen Qin Wentian before. Naturally, the Heavenly Talisman realm was extremely vast and experts were as common as the clouds. It was normal for them to not have seen some people before. Tuoba Saint Sky nodded to Qin Wentian as he spoke in a low voice. Sure, how should I address you? Saber-sword immortal king. Qin Wentian calmly replied. There was a saber and a sword strapped to his back. This name was indeed more suitable. Not bad. Everyone here are geniuses of our immortal realms. It's just nice to suppress the arrogance of the demon race. The expert from the Ying clan laughed, as though he was commanding from a higher position. Qin Wentian inclined his head, staring at the expert from the Ying clan as he emotionlessly spoke, "Scram down. You guys have no qualifications to sit in that place." Chapter 1460. Qin Wentian's voice was like thunder, ringing out in the ears of everyone. In an instant, the gazes of everyone turned to Qin Wentian. This immortal king was actually so audacious, telling the people of the Ying clan to scram down the moment he appeared. The eyes of the experts from the Ying clan narrowed. That peak-stage immortal king sitting in the center stared at Qin Wentian as immortal light radiated from him. He then calmly spoke. Do you know who you are talking to? The demons of the desolate mountains are fighting against the humans of the immortal realms. What have you guys done? Instigating the demons to act ruthlessly against the Namhuang clan? Do you think everyone here is a fool? Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the immortal king in the air. Your Ying clan has a grudge with the Namhuang clan. You should settle it later. Using such underhanded methods now is simply a humiliation to the human race. Well said. Jun Mingchen spoke. He walked out of the Emperor's Eye region and inclined his head, staring at the experts from the Ying clan. Despicable people like you all, what qualifications do you have to sit here and point your fingers? Acting like you are the representatives of the human race, Wu Xiao. How disgusting. The saber-sword immortal king's words are right. You guys should scram down, you guys don't have the qualifications to sit here. The expressions of the experts from the Ying clan grew even more unsightly. They didn't expect that there would actually be people who dared to target them. They were able to sit here because the experts from the Ying clan were extremely powerful, including an extremely terrifying character from the Ying clan, Ying Zhantian. Ying Zhantian was a peak-stage immortal king. He sat in the center, his eyes gleaming with the intent of an emperor. Even though he was humiliated by Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen, he was still as calm as ever. He merely stared at Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen as he spoke. It's very simple if you want us to get down. Show us your strength. 3 rounds. Early stage immortal kings, mid-stage immortal kings and peak-stage immortal kings. The rules are the same as before. If you guys lose, scram down. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. That's right. Before we deal with these evil creatures, let's get rid of some of the scum among the humans first. If you still have the pride of being a top force, then accept the challenge. Jun Mingchen arrogantly spoke. In an instant, the aura of an immortal king from the Ying clan gushed forth, causing those with weaker cultivation bases to feel stifled. If you guys don't even have the courage to accept the challenge, you guys would be a disgrace by just sitting there. An immortal king from the Namhuang clan coldly spoke. No one had expected that the battle would suddenly turn into a civil war. The greater demons of the desolate mountains hadn't expected this either. This time it was their turn to watch the show. Both parties wanted to see what level of strength the other party had reached, how talented the humans of the immortal realms were, and how talented the greater demons of the desolate mountains were. Right now, there seemed to be some extraordinary experts among the humans who wanted to challenge the position of the Ying clan, wanting to push them down from their thrones. All right. Ying Zhantian calmly spoke. His name was Ying Zhantian, and the homonym of his name was Ying Zhantian. From this, one could see how high the expectations placed on him were. How could he not accept a mere provocation from the heavens and earth? For the first battle I will fight. Which of you want to fight me? Jun Mingchen pointed his finger at the air as he spoke. An Empyrean from the Ying clan stepped out, causing the roars of dragons to echo out, shaking the heavens and earth. Jun Mengchen's silhouette flashed as he entered the battle platform of the Emperor's Eye. That expert from the Ying clan stepped out, and with every step he took, the might he exuded grew stronger. Dragon roars rang out from his body, causing his bones and muscles to feel as though they were forged from a true dragon. His body of a divine dragon was unshakable. After he entered the region of the Emperor's Eye, he lifted his hand and grabbed towards Jun Mengchen. His hand was like the sharp claw of a heavenly dragon, boundlessly vast, capable of tearing apart the sky. A mere minor Dao, how embarrassing. Jun Mengchen punched out with his fist, exuding a terrifying might that caused the heavens and earth to tremble. With a thunderous boom, the sharp claw of the heavenly dragon was shattered. That expert from the Ying clan condensed a series of hand seals. Runic light flashed as a true dragon manifested to protect him. Numerous terrifying true dragon shadows appeared around him as the dragon imprints in front of him flashed and blasted out. The dragon imprints transformed into true dragons, capable of annihilating everything as they instantly appeared before Jun Mengchen. So weak! Jun Mengchen roared. His body resembled the body of a divine emperor, shining with a resplendent light as divine energy enveloped him. He was undying and indestructible. No matter how the true dragon tore at him, the light around him protected him from destruction. This was simply shocking. What physique is this? Someone exclaimed. The countenances of those from the Ying clan were all extremely unsightly to behold. Ying Zhantian was extremely calm. Given Jun Mengchen's physique, it was normal for him to be defeated. It was already sufficient for him to win the next mid-stage Immortal King battle. As for the third battle, if he fought, who would be able to contend against him? And as expected, the outcome of the battle was as expected. Jun Mengchen domineeringly defeated his opponent. If it wasn't for that expert from the Ying clan using his divine weapon to flee, he would have been killed on the spot. That expert then left the battle platform in an extremely embarrassed manner. Trash, you can't even withstand a single strike and you still dare to act so high and mighty? If I was you, I would have scrammed down from the platform myself. Jun Mengchen walked out of the platform and spoke with his head held high. Ying Zhantian's expression was cold, gleaming with sharpness. The Grand Era was truly different. Back then in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, there were already many outstanding geniuses. Now, with the invasion of the desolate mountains, the royal demonic beasts were terrifying to the extreme. And now, any random person from the Ying clan had a heaven-shaking physique. Seems like the rumors circulating in the Ying clan weren't groundless. The immortal realms were in chaos. The golden era was about to descend. The battle hasn't ended yet. If you guys lose the next two battles, I want to see how arrogant you can be. An immortal king sitting on a throne in the floating palace arrogantly spoke. He was a mid-stage immortal king and stood up, preparing for the next battle. You guys, who will fight the second battle? He stood high up in the air, staring down at everyone with an unexcelled attitude. Me. Qin Wentian inclined his head as two bolts of lightning shot out from his eyes. Since you dare to challenge the immortal kings of my Ying clan, I will kill you in this battle. That mid-stage immortal king was extremely old. His aura was incomparably steady, exuding a sense of imposingness. If you kneel and repent now, I can spare your life. That immortal king wanted to show the might of his Ying clan, giving Qin Wentian a chance. Idiot! Qin Wentian spat out. After that, he turned and walked up the platform, bathing in the emperor's eyes. In an instant, emperor light shot out from the emperor's eyes, blasting into Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian actually didn't use any strength to resist. He simply stood there, enduring the baptism of the emperor's eyes. His entire body was incomparably resplendent, exuding an unparalleled magnificence. The mid-stage immortal king of the Ying clan was humiliated by the word, idiot. He stepped out as 8 true dragons revolved around him, exuding an unparalleled might that could devour the heavens and devour the earth. He domineeringly stepped onto the platform, disregarding everything. Since you are courting death, I will grant you your wish. After speaking, he directly moved towards Qin Wentian. Dragon roars echoed out, terrifying to the extreme. Vizi. A saber and sword appeared behind Qin Wentian. His left hand wielded a saber while his right hand wielded a sword. He was, like his name suggested, the saber-sword immortal king. Lifting his left hand, Qin Wentian slashed out with his saber. There were no fancy techniques, it was a tyrannical strike. As this saber slashed out, the sky changed color as devil might roared. The intent of destruction shook the heavens and earth, causing chaos in the sky. Break! That old immortal king from the Ying clan roared. 8 true dragons rushed out, exuding a shocking pressure. He had been at this cultivation realm for many years and his combat prowess was extremely high. If not, he wouldn't be the one to fight. The saber and dragons collided, causing chaos in the sky. Qin Wentian stepped out, slashing out with his right hand. A single sword manifested, capable of destroying everything, his sword intent capable of splitting the heavens apart. Pucci! A crisp sound rang out. The space was still in chaos. However, the crowd only saw blood splattering everywhere. The old man's body stiffened in the air. His body trembled as blood flowed from the center of his eyebrows. His body fell towards the battle platform. He had died. This battle was even more clean compared to the earlier one. That mysterious saber-sword immortal king merely used a single slash and sword to kill the peak-stage mid-stage immortal king of the Ying clan. No matter how powerful that immortal king was, he wasn't able to block the power of a single strike. 2 lightning-fast strikes later he was killed. The experts from the Ying clan all stood up. Their might swept over the area, violent to the extreme. The spectators were all silent, not daring to say anything. The Ying clan was challenged by someone else and they were defeated miserably. There's no need for the third battle. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. He stared at the experts from the Ying clan. Can you all scram down now? Ying Zhantian stared at Qin Wentian. If it was said that he could see through Jun Mengqian's combat prowess and knew that he had a heaven-defying physique, but for Qin Wentian's combat prowess, he actually couldn't see through Qin Wentian's true combat prowess. Such a person shouldn't be a nameless immortal king. Saber-sword immortal king. He had never heard of such a character before. Interesting, I don't understand the rules of humans. If I were you guys, I wouldn't be able to endure this. The greater demon from the desolate mountains spoke, as though he was intentionally trying to incite the anger of the Ying clan. I heard that the Ying clan is one of the 3 great ancient clans of the southern region. A supreme power. Even a mid-stage immortal king was killed on the spot, and was even pointed at by the Ying clan, telling them to scram down. What a humiliation. Everyone has seen the combat prowess of the 2 of them. They are truly very powerful. My Ying clan's defeat isn't unjust. Ying Zhantian was an extraordinary character. He calmly spoke, raising the statuses of Qin Wentian and Jun Mengqian. This way, the Ying clan wouldn't lose too much face. It's just that 2 victories doesn't mean anything. This is especially so in front of the ancient clans. Are you guys sure you really want to sit on my seat? Ying Zhantian changed the topic, staring at Qin Wentian. Why? You guys don't want to admit it? Jun Mengqian coldly spoke. Everyone should be preparing to head to the city of ancient emperors, right? I'm only giving you guys a chance. This seat isn't easy to sit on. Ying Zhantian continued. So much nonsense. Jun Mengqian raged. Are you guys going to scram down or not? Very good. Let's meet again in the city of ancient emperors. Ying Zhantian stood up. Let's go. As the sound of his voice faded, the experts of the Ying clan brought the corpses away. They didn't have the face to continue staying here. The Ying clan was actually chased away from the floating palace by several immortal kings. This was truly an extremely shocking matter. Jun Mengqian smiled at Qin Wentian. Brother saber and sword strength is extraordinary. Please. He was thinking in his heart that the experts of the heavenly talisman realm were truly as common as the clouds. This senior brother he didn't know was actually so powerful. Even if the people of the Ying clan leave, when would it be the turn of a mere immortal Qianbian Gate to sit on the throne of the floating sky immortal palace? You guys are still not qualified. An expert on a floating palace coldly spoke, as though he recognized Jun Mengqian as someone from the immortal Qianbian Gate. Chapter 1461. An immortal king from the heavenly talisman realm took a step forward. His entire body radiated boundless runic light as he slashed out with his sword. His sword was like a beam of light, faster than lightning, slashing through the air and slamming into the fiery claw. However, the claw didn't explode. Let's see if you can still laugh after entering the city of ancient emperors. Zi Daolong flicked his sleeves. After that, a group of immortal kings from the eastern regions departed as well. How arrogant! These demonic beasts don't even have us in their eyes. An immortal king from the Sanluo Immortal Empire coldly spoke. They had all paid attention to the battle between the Dongshengshan Gate and the immortal Qianbian Gate. They recognized Tuoba Saint Sky and knew that these people were from the immortal Qianbian Gate. Those leaders didn't act before, but they are all extraordinary characters at the very peak. Start a war? A supreme greater demon from the desolate mountains coldly laughed. You guys aren't qualified yet. Forget it, there's no need to be calculative with them. If not, others might feel that we are bullying them with numbers. An expert coldly spoke. After that, he glanced at everyone. Let's continue looking at the talents of the participants. If you guys want to prove yourselves, you guys can come to the battle platform of the God's Eye and see how long you guys can last. Sitting on the battle platform isn't simply a test of one's combat prowess. Given your strength, you guys are still not qualified. A peak stage immortal king from the Taihua immortal dynasty calmly spoke. Qin Wentian slashed out with his saber. A devil might capable of suppressing everything gushed forth, shattering the ice around him. The saber light slashed through the air, aiming for the torch dragon but was blocked by its sharp claws. Do you want to start a war? Tuoba Saintsky stepped out, exuding a tyrannical aura. Holy Maiden Nam Huang Yunqi actually blushed. Senior brother Qin, you are truly awesome. Jun Mengchen spoke in admiration. Qin Wentian's face was filled with black lines. Scram. Luckily, if that lass knew it was you, she would surely be extremely happy and want to come and see you. Nam Huang Yunqi glanced at Qin Wentian with a hidden bitterness in her eyes, causing Qin Wentian to be unable to bear it. Such a noble beauty looking at him with such a gaze, it was truly mesmerizing. You may leave. He spoke. A moment later, the torch dragon retreated, returning to the side of the greater demon from the desolate mountains. Qin Wentian stared at the experts from the desolate mountains. Each of them exuded an incomparably majestic aura, towering up into the sky. Although they had many experts on their side, it was true that they had no way to contend against these greater demons from the desolate mountains. For underestimating Wu Xiao of the immortal realms, he will definitely pay the price. A king of the 9 emperors' immortal state arrogantly spoke, exuding a fearsome royal aura. So this is the case. Qin Wentian nodded. They then departed, leaving this ancient emperor palace to others. I purposely came here to take a look, but I didn't see anything. Seems like I can only wait until we enter the city of ancient emperors before I can witness the magnificence of the desolate mountain ranges kings. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. After that, he continued, however, why are all the kings of the major powers gathered here? Are they trying to chase me and senior brother Tuoba away? Jun Mengchen sighed. Qin Wentian was speechless, but he also knew that this fellow was joking. He stretched out his sharp claws, directly grabbing towards the location where Qin Wentian and the others were at. His claws transformed into a fiery red, incomparably gigantic, as though the flames of magma were covering his claws, incomparably red as he directly extended his claws towards Qin Wentian and the others. If you want to fight, let's do it on the battle platform. Life and death don't matter. Jun Mengchen took a step forward, pointing to the battle platform. Humiliating my clan, you all deserve death. A roar rang out. An expert from the desolate mountain range stepped out as a supreme demonic might gushed forth. This was a torch dragon, and when it opened its eyes, the sun and moon lost all light, causing the heavens and earth to flicker between light and darkness. As Wu Xiao of the immortal realms, I naturally can't bear to see demonic beasts bullying my human companions. It's just that now, a storm has gathered in the gazing Emperor City. Fairies, please be more careful. The Namhuang clan only has this much strength. I'm afraid it's a little inappropriate. After all, there are many demonic beasts here that don't understand human nature. They are capable of doing anything. Qin Wentian persuaded at the same time. He added the humiliation of that greater demon. Qin Wentian, Jun Mengchen and the others turned their gazes over. The person who spoke was none other than the son of Zidi, Zi Daolong. The few of them were naturally very happy to reunite. Several days later, the experts from the Namhuang clan rushed over. They were preparing to set off for the city of ancient emperors. My mood has already been disturbed. There's no meaning to it anymore. During these few days I've seen many geniuses from the immortal realms, but they are merely SOSO. It's just that I've only seen a few interesting humans today. I hope that there will be more of such humans in the future. If not, wouldn't it be too lonely in the city of ancient emperors? That demonic king stood up and departed, as though he didn't care about anything else. They returned to an inn, isolated from the outside world. Tuoba Saint Sky, Jun Mengchen and Nam Huang Yunxi were all here. Qin Wentian revealed his true form, causing the others to be shocked. After that, their eyes lit up. Nam Huang Yunxi smiled at Qin Wentian. You are getting more and more powerful. Even a mid-stage immortal king couldn't block your strength. How despairing. Everyone in the world has gathered. This time around, the city of ancient emperors is going to be lively. The experts all stood up and departed, preparing to enter the city of ancient emperors. Haha, I've already guessed which senior brother would be so extraordinary. Senior brother Qin, you have truly tricked me. Jun Mengchen laughed uproariously. Back then when we were at the celestial phenomenon realm, we fought side by side in the city of ancient emperors. To think that we would be together again now. We will definitely fight until the heavens and earth overturn in the city of ancient emperors. Demonic beasts of the desolate mountains. The immortal king from the shooting sun kingdom coldly laughed. His eyes were like divine arrows, able to pierce through the sky. Haha, Nam Huang Yunxi, don't talk about Shunga. Don't you miss my senior brother Qin as well? Jun Mengchen laughed loudly. Nam Huang Yunxi's eyes flickered as she replied in a light voice, of course not. Tuoba Sainsky's silhouette flashed as he soared up into the air, directly appearing above the floating palace. He sat down on the throne as he coldly glanced at Qin Wentian. This matter is all my fault. I wanted to come to the city of ancient emperors to temper myself, yet I didn't expect that the situation in the immortal realms has already changed. Demonic beasts are everywhere. I've already informed the Nam Huang clan that there will be other seniors rushing over. Nam Huang Yunxi spoke with some guilt. After she broke through to the immortal king realm, she had always been thinking about tempering herself. Now that the world was in a state of chaos, the city of ancient emperors was a gathering place for her. Hence she directly came here. So much nonsense. If you want to fight one-on-one, you all can choose your cultivation bases. But if you want to compare strength, which power can stand against the Nam Huang clan? How shameless! Jun Mengchen roared in anger. A powerful might gushed forth from the immortal palace. The immortal kings weren't pushovers, and their auras were extremely terrifying. Qin Wentian walked to the side of Nam Huang Yunxi. He glanced at Nanfeng Shanga, who seemed to have recovered a little, as he asked, Holy Maiden, are you all right? That's true that old thief Eastern Sage actually became a disciple of old devil Duo Tian. Back then, he acted against you on the Demon God Mountain, causing so many people in the central regions to want to kill you. We can't be careless. Jun Mengchen nodded. However, it's enough as long as we know that senior brother is fine. We can still see each other after we enter the city of ancient emperors. Jun Meng, this time around, I'm prepared to travel alone. If not, I might attract too much attention and cause others to guess my identity. Qin Wentian spoke. The expression of the immortal king from the heavenly talisman realm didn't change. He waved his hands and instantly slashed out a myriad of sword attacks. The supreme sword intent slammed into the talisman, causing a thunderous boom to ring out as the talisman was directly destroyed. Back then, the adjudication battle in the immortal realms caused some of the major powers in the eastern regions to form an alliance. And now they actually came to the city of ancient emperors together. Very swiftly, in this ancient palace, only the major powers of humanity remained. Other than this, there were many characters from the peak powers of the eastern region sitting in the floating palace. The Supreme Sword School, Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, Taihua Immortal Dynasty and others were all here. It was like they were in an alliance. I will definitely stay longer than you guys, Jun Mengchen impolitely replied. This has something to do with the movements of the desolate mountains. The greater demons of the desolate mountains are invading, and the city of ancient emperors is one of the places they want to head to the most. When this news circulated out, the major powers of the central regions all rushed here, wanting to contend against the demonic kings of the desolate mountains and display their might. If they want to be unrivaled in the righteous path, becoming an unparalleled character, defeating all the geniuses in the world, this is the path they must take. I seal. Zhu Long spat out a cold voice. The floating palace was instantly covered in frost, turning it snow-white. At the same time, the shadow of a true dragon rushed out and slammed into the floating palace. In an instant, the palace directly shattered into pieces. Countless terrifying attacks of demonic dragons appeared from the ice, and everyone inside was about to be annihilated. I wonder where the Immortal Champion Gate gets their confidence from. An expert from the Supreme Sword School coldly spoke. Qin Wentian nodded. He then turned to Namhuang Yunxi and asked, Yunxi, how is Shunga? They all left just like that? How boring. I still want to see the talent of these lofty characters and see how long they can last under the Emperor's eye. Seems like they all have their misgivings, afraid that if they can last too long, they would be mocked by others. Junmingchen laughed. Qin Wentian, Namhuang Yunxi and the others all flew into the floating palace, as though they were smacking Zi Daolong's face. If we don't have the qualifications, do you want to go up and test it out with me? Tuoba Saint Sky inclined his head and stared at Zi Daolong, declaring war with just a single word of disagreement. This caused Zi Daolong's eyes to flash, feeling some trepidation towards Tuoba Saint Sky. Back then during the final battle, Tuoba Saint Sky was one of the most dazzling characters of the Immortal Champion Gate. He was in existence at the peak stage of the Immortal King realm, and absolutely not to be underestimated. Boom! As the sound of his voice faded, a violent wave of demonic qi gushed over. This was none other than the demonic might unleashed by the greater demon that injured Nanfeng Shunga earlier. After that, the experts from the Heavenly Talisman realm, including Junmingchen, all flew up into the air. Junmingchen then spoke, Brother Sabersword, fairies of the Southern Phoenix clan, please come up. Let's go. We are preparing to enter the city of ancient emperors that humans hold in high regard. In the floating palace, the greater demons of the desolate mountains all coldly laughed as they stood up and departed. It was like they didn't place the human wuxiu in their eyes at all. I'm fine. Many thanks for Senior Sabersword Immortal King's concern. Nanfeng Shunga smiled. Her smile was as gentle and beautiful as ever. Chapter 1462. The Eastern Sea was boundlessly vast, and it was a place one had to pass by in order to reach the city of ancient emperors. At this moment on the east coast, Qin Wentian and the others appeared. In the vast East Sea of the Demon King, it's rumored that only immortal kings and emperors would be able to traverse the eastern seas and enter the city of ancient emperors. The last time I came here I was sent here. This time around, I wonder what I would encounter in the city of ancient emperors. Junmingchen spoke in a low voice. After that, he stepped out and flew towards the boundless eastern seas. Qin Wentian and the others stepped forward one after another, followed by Namhuang Yunxi and the other mighty ones of the Namhuang clan, moving forward in the sky above the East Sea. It's rumored that the city of ancient emperors is an independent space located within the eastern seas. If one flies in the air, they wouldn't be able to see the city of ancient emperors. Senior sister, you've been here before, do you know the exact situation? An expert from the Namhuang clan asked a peak stage immortal king senior sister beside him. The Eastern Sea has a spirit and is guarded by the demonic monarch. There will be an independent passageway for emperors to enter. After Namhuang Yunxi informed the Namhuang clan, a group of holy maidens from the Southern Phoenix clan rushed over to the city of ancient emperors to take a look. As they spoke, they whistled through the sky above the Eastern Sea. As they went deeper into the Eastern Sea, the waves engulfed the world, becoming more and more berserk. They rose hundreds of miles, terrifying to the extreme. There's someone here. It's an expert from the desolate land. At this moment they stared in another direction. A group of experts were riding on a sun war chariot. The sun war chariot was incomparably resplendent and was forged from gold. The flames of the sun evaporated the waves as it rode the wind and broke through the waves, appearing extremely tyrannical. At this moment, the person on the other side also sensed something and glanced at them from afar. His flaming eyes pierced through the void like the eyes of the sun. In an instant, it made Qin Wentian and the others feel as if they were in the middle of a raging sun. It was extremely terrifying. It's an expert from the Sun Gold race. It's an extremely powerful royal race that was born from the fusion of the sun god bird, golden crow, and the Sun Gold race. Qin Wentian's eyes could see through all illusions. He could see through the other party's true form. Very strong. The holy maiden of the Namhuang clan spoke. The desolate mountains swept unhindered, tyrannical and tyrannical. They had the support of powerful experts. Those royal greater demons were truly terrifying. comparable to the peak powers of the immortal realms. The sun chariot sped up and tore through the void, gradually disappearing at an astonishing speed. I'm filled with anticipation. This time around, I wonder how many kings and kings from the various peak powers would appear in the city of ancient emperors. Jun Mengchen was extremely excited. We have to be more careful when we arrive at the city of ancient emperors. Regardless of the peak powers of the various regions or the royal clans of the desolate mountains, none of them are people we can afford to antagonize. In this chaotic era, killing would be even more direct, and there would be no rules. A holy maiden reminded, "No. Given my strength in the third level of the city of ancient emperors, I should be considered one of the weaker ones. I will naturally pay attention to my own safety when I fight for supremacy." Jun Mengchen understood the kind intentions of the holy maiden. He nodded. The group continued moving forward and finally arrived at the area of the destructive storm. In this area, darkness shrouded the eastern sea, and there were pitch-black destructive light wreaking havoc. Dark clouds covered the sky, and terrifying lightning energy shot out from within, destroying everything. Everyone's law energy circulated around their bodies. Their body of law was incomparably tyrannical, protecting their bodies from the violent attacks. We're almost there. Jun Mengchen's eyes flashed. Back then, the Emperor Qianbian sent him and Qin Wentian into this area. After that, the Black Dragon appeared and sent them into the city of ancient emperors. Boom! A terrifying bolt of destructive lightning blasted into them, causing their bodies to tremble. Indeed, if one wasn't an immortal king, they would die without a doubt if they entered this area. Only immortal kings and emperors could enter the city of ancient emperors. If juniors wanted to enter, they had to be escorted by an immortal king. Hence, even those in the first level of the city of ancient emperors were all descendants of immortal kings and emperors, possessing extraordinary statuses. Qin Wentian stared at the black mountain peak that stretched from the sea all the way up to the skies. Back then, he had once seen someone sitting on top of the mountain peak cultivating, borrowing the terrifying energy to temper his body. This cultivation method was extremely violent and direct, using the method of enduring attacks to strengthen his body. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. Nam Huang Yunqi's cultivation base was slightly weaker. Her body was actually a little unstable. The peak stage immortal king Holy Maiden beside her acted as her protector. Qin Wentian could also sense how terrifying this energy was. Ordinary immortal kings might not even be able to enter this place. Senior Holy Maiden. Back then the Dragon Emperor was the one who brought me in. How did immortal kings and emperors enter? Jun Mengchen asked. After exiting this area, there will be an ancient pathway of laws leading to the city of ancient emperors. The holy maiden who came here before replied. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. You guys go ahead first. I will cultivate here for a period of time before entering the city of ancient emperors. Nam Huang Yunqi stared at Qin Wentian. This area is extremely dangerous. Even if your cultivation base is high, the destructive energy here might pose a threat to you. In Nam Huang Yunqi's eyes, there was a trace of concern. She was very worried about Qin Wentian. This caused the other holy maidens of the Nam Huang clan to feel surprised. Don't worry, this energy can't do anything to me. You guys go ahead first. Fairies, please be more careful after entering the city of ancient emperors. Qin Wentian spoke. After that he stepped out, moving towards the Black Mountain Peak. Nam Huang Yunqi started. She knew that she had no way to persuade Qin Wentian. This fellow was actually cultivating here. Senior brother Qin, you have to be more careful. We will leave first. Jun Mengchen transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian. Only he and a few others knew of Qin Wentian's identity. You too. Qin Wentian replied. Jun Mengchen and the others continued ahead, vanishing into the gray tempest. Qin Wentian came to the peak of the Black Mountain and sat down cross-legged. He actually began to gradually dispel the law energy around him. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out. The destructive tempest slammed into him. Qin Wentian groaned in misery as his body trembled violently. He closed his eyes as a holy will radiated from him. In an instant, golden runic light enveloped him as the Vajra holy will appeared. The boundless runes were like ancient characters of the Buddhist path, circulating around his body. The destructive tempest frenziedly ravaged Qin Wentian's body. After each strike, the holy will would cleanse Qin Wentian's body, tempering it, causing his body to glow with a golden luster. When he was in the Eastern tomb, Qin Wentian had comprehended 3 types of holy will. The sword holy will that was as soft as a willow leaf, yet it contained an indomitable might. The pagoda holy will that could suppress the heavens and earth, and the Vajra holy will. The first 2 were attack-type holy wills. Qin Wentian comprehended them faster. As for the Vajra holy will, he spent the longest time comprehending it. It was a body-refining holy will. Back then, he killed several immortal kings from the Vajra sect and plundered their treasures. He knew that this holy will could be used to refine an indestructible body of the Buddhist path. In the Great Tempest, destructive energy frenziedly blasted into Qin Wentian. He didn't borrow the power of law energy to protect himself. He only focused on tempering his indestructible body. A bolt of black lightning blasted down from the top of his head, penetrating through his body. Qin Wentian groaned in misery as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. However, he still remained in the lotus position. His body shone with an even more resplendent runic light as the golden glow around him grew even more intense. Several days later, Qin Wentian endured the boundless attacks. The golden runic light on his body was akin to a gigantic net, causing his physique to be terrifying to the extreme. He was able to withstand the destructive might of the attacks, and the light circulating around his body would negate the impact of the attacks. Strands of Vajra holy will circulated around him. Gradually, Qin Wentian, who was sitting there, actually exuded a sense of majesty, resembling an esteemed monk of the Buddhist path. Such a body refinement method was extremely direct and violent. Several months later, Qin Wentian's body radiated boundless golden light, illuminating the entire sky. A formless body of Vajra manifested, allowing the violent attacks to land on his body. The Vajra holy will seem to have become a part of his body. Qin Wentian opened his eyes, shining with a resplendent golden light. He stood up, exuding a divine glow. His body resembled a Vajra ancient Buddha, and there were runic formations all around him. My physique is getting more and more perfect. Right now my body is like a Vajra, able to withstand extremely powerful attacks. Qin Wentian mumbled. After that, his silhouette flashed as he left the Black Mountain peak and continued forward. At this moment he didn't use any law energy, allowing the violent attacks to land on his body. He had no reaction at all. Qin Wentian continued forward and finally, he saw a ray of light. An ancient pathway of laws appeared in the chaotic region, traversing through space and leading to the city of ancient emperors. Back then, when Qin Wentian entered the city of ancient emperors, he already knew that there were 3 levels of space here. Different cultivation bases would lead to different levels of space. With no hesitation, Qin Wentian directly stepped into the ancient pathway of laws. As he continued forward, spatial fluctuations gushed forth. As Qin Wentian continued forward, he felt himself shuttling through space. Finally, an intense surge of law energy descended upon him. With a single step, he exited the ancient pathway of laws. In the next instant, Qin Wentian floated in the air. With a single step, he directly entered the city of ancient emperors. Boom! A terrifying surge of law energy blasted over, forcing Qin Wentian back. His eyes flashed as he stared ahead. His expression instantly froze. Before him, 2 incomparably powerful figures could be seen. Both of them were tens of thousands of meters tall. One was a human and the other was a demon. The demon transformed into its true form. It was a silver-colored gigantic ape that gleamed with silvery light. When it roared, it would shake the heavens and earth, and when it attacked, it would cause the heavens and earth to shatter. Fighting against it was a similarly gigantic giant that resembled the king of hell. His body blazed with inextinguishable flames as his law domain enveloped the entire space. That should be an expert from the Sanluo Immortal Empire in the central regions. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He glanced in another direction and saw that there was also an intense battle between immortal kings. A golden-colored great rock was as fast as lightning. His wings slashed out with boundless might, akin to a phantom. His opponent was an expert wielding a divine arrow, his entire body glowing with a divine glow. The arrow pierced through the air, piercing through everything, aiming for the body of the golden rock. No matter how fast the golden rock was, it was useless. That divine arrow could lock onto him, and the golden rock could only use brute force to shatter it. A golden rock of the rock race, shooting Sun empires and Parians. Qin Wentian glanced at this space. There were many spectators here. His silhouette flashed as he descended from the air and came to the side of a female immortal king. He then asked, "What's going on? You just entered the city of ancient emperors through the ancient path of laws, right?" The female immortal king glanced at Qin Wentian and smiled. Right now in the city of ancient emperors, it's unknown how many battles like this would occur every day. Experts are as common as clouds. Geniuses gather here. Geniuses at the same cultivation level are all fighting for supremacy. And if there's an unrivaled character who can become an ancient emperor, ordinary immortal kings can only be spectators.